Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we talk about the latest Xbox news for the week of October 26, 2023, including Xbox shines on Microsoft's recent financial earnings. Satya Nadella is doubling down on video game production. For those who don't know, that's Microsoft's CEO. Halo Infinite is shining bright following a successful season update, and more. On this day in Xbox history, in the year 2008, 15 years ago, Guitar Hero World Tour was released for the Xbox 360. Shout out to Guitar Hero World Tour, my favorite of the Guitar Hero franchise. I know it's a little bit of a controversial take, as it seems like most people are either team Guitar Hero 2 or Guitar Hero 3, depending on kind of which one you got your hands on first. But listen, no slight to those games. My first Guitar Hero was also Guitar Hero 2. Love that game. Guitar Hero 3. There's no denying that Guitar Hero 3 is probably, in a way, the most special Guitar Hero game, because it is not only the last Guitar Hero that was like that guitar focused, because it was before they introduced the band element, but also it was just like they had really nailed the game by that point. Like, all the track list for Guitar Hero 3 is so legendary, and then of course like just the absolute, like, the way they translate those songs into gameplay was so extra fun and arcadey and challenging in Guitar Hero 3 that I understand and respect the camp of people that say Guitar Hero 3 is the superior entry in the franchise. But that being said, I don't know what it is. It's just, for some reason, World Tour is just the one that for me is my favorite. I feel like it still has a lot of that Guitar Hero 3 like difficulty, really fun. These songs translate well into gameplay kind of songs, but also has a much more varied track list with modern and classic songs featuring a lot of artists I really loved. And then I just love the way this game brought out the band concept. I think, and maybe another popular or hot take, but I actually think Guitar Hero as a band game was a lot more fun than Rock Band, even though Rock Band always had more tracks and therefore a superior set list. It's still, to this day, I think Rock Band kind of is boring to play personally, but it's, you can't argue with that track list because Rock Band has a great... Listen, we're getting into the weeds of the Guitar Hero. It's a possibility you're listening to this podcast and you're too young to have been there for the wave of Guitar Hero and in plastic instrument genre, the genre of plastic instrument games altogether from the early to mid aughts. Yeah, it's kind of died out around the early 2010s, but you can even go back a little further with like some SingStar games and things like that. I mean, DJ Hero happened shortly after Guitar Hero and all whatever. I miss this era so much. I love these games. I think these, in my opinion, are the perfect party games. And the thing I really love so much about the Guitar Hero series is not many games of this genre can do this, where it is simultaneously a really excellent party game and a really, really fun, I wouldn't say like necessarily like hardcore game, but like a game that you can be a hardcore gamer and still get a lot of value, a lot of enjoyment out of this game. And I mean, I guess you could say the same about like Mario Kart or whatever. And and I have, of course, I've poured tons of hours into various Mario Kart entries, but there's something about Guitar Hero where like I would have an equal amount of fun on Guitar Hero, whether I was playing by myself alone all day, every day, or whether it was like I'm at my buddy's house and everyone's bringing over their plastic instruments because we can't play real instruments, but we're all just jamming out together on Guitar Hero. There's something about it where it was just like very different, but still equally fun experiences to try and like, I'm going to try to do Fire and Flames FC on expert mode. No one ever fucking did that. No one I knew ever did that. But, like to try and do those things. Like I remember feeling like the sense of accomplishment when I finally completed Cliffs of Dover on expert mode in Guitar Hero 3 or just like, I don't know, like trying to 5-star. Guitar Hero World Tour is a lot easier than Guitar Hero 3. So I remember just trying to like 5-star every track in the game to the best of my ability and being a little underwhelmed where they're like, oh yeah, Guitar Hero World Tour, their version of Through the Fire and Flames is Hot for Teacher by Van Halen. I'm like, yeah, fuck right it is. Like that song is so easy. I mean, it is hard on drums. I think that was the kicker, but like, come on now. Come on. Hot for Teacher. That was a walk in the park compared to Through the Fire and Flames. But anyway, shout out to Guitar Hero World Tour, and also just shout out to Guitar Hero in general. I'm sure I'm not the only one who was. Actually, this is something I just got to give inadvertently props to Activision for. Strangely enough, where like just so many of my favorite artists I was exposed to due to Activision published games like the Tony Hawk games or the Guitar Hero games. So I guess really that comes down to like Vicarious Visions and Neversoft and these developers that made these Tony Hawk and Guitar Hero games. Like I grew up in a household with like older punk rock brothers, so I had a lot of exposure to like 90s and early 2000s like punk rock and hardcore and all that stuff, and then emo and all that other subgenres and spin-off genres and what have you. But so much of that music that I got exposed to and those artists I fell in love with from a young age, thanks to playing games like Guitar Hero, and World Tour has an exceptional playlist, in my opinion. Also, I don't remember if this is on the game. This isn't DLC. Lazy Eye by Silver Sun Pickups. I'm not one of those people that has like a favorite song of all time or a top 3 songs of all time. I think that's an impossible question to answer, at least for me it is. But I don't know, gun to my head, Lazy Eye by Silver Sun Pickups, top 5 songs of all time. Not of the Guitar Hero franchise, not of the decade in which the song hails from, of all time. That's a fucking perfect song. Anyway, guys, welcome to Xbox On. I'm getting a little nostalgic because here we are. Anytime we talk about video games from the mid to late aughts, especially that like 07 to 09 era, ooh, you get me all nostalgic and bubbly, you know. It's just one of those games. It's one of those times for me. So shout out to Guitar Hero World Tour. And let's move on to an Xbox podcast. It's not all about Guitar Hero, although maybe it's timely. Xbox just acquired Activision. We've got a little bit of Guitar Hero in the news lately. Rumors, murmuring, suggestions that maybe Guitar Hero will come back under Xbox's ownership. I don't know. Maybe. Honestly, they could just do Guitar Hero World Tour reissued. Call it reissued because it's a nice nod to like a music term. But also, literally just put the game on modern Xbox consoles and re-release that hardware. Maybe make it a little more sturdy than it was back in 08. But just re-release those controllers. Let me buy them again. Let me give you $200. I believe it was $200 for a full band kit back in 08. So with today's inflation and all the fucking price gouging that goes on and all the nonsensical, just everything, I assume $200 for a Guitar Hero kit in 2008 would be like $795 fucking dollars in today's money. But whatever, you could probably take out a loan. You can probably finance it with six easy 0% interest payments through a firm if you want to shop it that way. But anyway. We are going to actually move on this time. Shout out to Guitar Hero World Tour. Shout out to you for endearing this opening 5 minutes of the podcast. And let's go on, guys. All right, we got a couple of games coming out this week. In fact, let's not downplay it. We got a lot of games coming out. This is a big release week. In fact, honestly, I think this is probably one of the last few weeks of the year that's going to be this big in terms of just the number of notable games releasing. Of course, we still got some big games coming in November and even some in December, but I mean, this is, for me, I mean, after this, it's really just like Call of Duty and that new Avatar Pandora game. But I mean, this week to me is just really notable list of games. So starting off with a big one for Game Pass, Cities Skylines 2 is a day one Game Pass game from Paradox Interactive, available now as of the time I'm recording this. You can play it right now. Important to note, this is a city sim building game, and it is not available on console. This is a PC exclusive game. And it is a day one Game Pass title if you have PC Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate. So shout out to people who like that kind of stuff. I know this is a big game for people who enjoy these kinds of games, but I got to be honest here. This isn't something I'm qualified to speak on or care enough to really get into. So Cities Skylines 2, if that's your thing, I'm sure you're playing that right now instead of listening to this podcast. Moving on, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 is out now, and this is a huge shift because this is a collection of games I do plan on buying with re-releases of the old Metal Gear Solid games. I actually forget. This one has Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and Peace Walker, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta comes out later, and that's a separate from the ground up remake, whereas this collection is more of like an up-res port collection. But yes, it's out. This is like the only way to really play the original Metal Gear Solid on Xbox, so it's kind of a really notable deal in that regard, because Metal Gear Solid, one of the most important franchises to the history of gaming. Finally, Xbox players are going to have access to that original Metal Gear Solid game that released all the way back in the... What year did MGS1 come out? Was that 98? I want to say that was 98. I could be wrong. Oh, you know what? Here, I'm on a Windows PC. Let's ask Bing. There we go. 1998. I was right. Anyway, so it's first time this game's been playable for Xbox players. Huge deal. And then we'll get Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, which is a ground-up remake of that game coming soon. And now there are rumors and leaks suggesting that deep in the files of this collection, there are references to Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5, as well as Peace Walker, the PSP game, suggesting that those games are all coming in a separate remaster collection. Having Metal Gear, those other two don't matter as much, but Metal Gear Solid 4 would be a big one because Metal Gear Solid 4 is the only other Metal Gear game that's never been available on Xbox, because that game was a PlayStation 3 game from, and I'm not going to guess this one again, but I want to say 2008, speaking of my nostalgia, and that game has never made it off of the PS3. In fact, this isn't one of those like PlayStation has the upper hand things. Like, you could be on PS4, PS5, you're not playing Metal Gear Solid 4. It's just stranded on the PS3 along with its cell processing and its difficult to develop for hardware and all the rest. That game is just stranded on that console. So this would be a big deal. It would be really great to finally have the full Metal Gear Solid collection. Not reference to this release of games, but rather the actual collection, the actual franchise, all available in one place. And if you're on Xbox, that wouldn't be a bad deal to have all these games available to you. So hopefully we hear more on that in the near future, but for now, the Metal Gear Solid Remaster Collection Volume 1 is officially out. That is something I do plan on picking up later down the road when I'm not so busy with other games / moving. But yeah. And then next up, Ghost Runner 2 is out now. Actually, yeah, it's out as of the day this podcast goes live, which could be had for $40. It's available for pre-order in the meantime, and it's being published by 505 Games. I know people really love the first Ghost Runner. I played a demo of the first one. I played like an hour of it. Really cool game. I really expected it to hold my attention more than it did, but it lost me. It's a very cool game though. There's no denying that game is creative and very fun to look at, although it just didn't hold me gameplay wise for some reason. But moving on, all right, I'll save the best for last. Let's skip and go to this penultimate one here. Terminator Resistance Complete Edition is out this Friday, the 27th, from Reef Entertainment. It's an optimized game for Series S and X. Apparently this game is kind of good. It's gotten solid reviews, so if you're a Terminator fan looking for a licensed Terminator video game, this might be something worth checking out, but I don't know. I saw a trailer for it. That's about it. But lastly, and certainly we're saving the best for last here, the most notable game coming out this week that I just got to bring up because I'm so excited to play it is Alan Wake 2. Comes out this Friday, October 27th, published by Epic Games, of course developed by Remedy Entertainment, one of the great developers of all time. For $60, that's right, this game is not $70, and it's also not available physically. It's only available digitally. But for $60, this game is optimized for Series S and X and is the follow-up to the first Alan Wake, which came out in 2010. What was that, May 2010 for Xbox 360? And so, yeah, this is very, very exciting. I'm sure if you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know Alan Wake was like the blind spot in Remedy's lineup of games that I had never played until earlier this year. I finally sat down and played it, loved it, went back and played American Nightmare, which was the spin-off Xbox Live Arcade kind of, a little add-on accoutrement thing, and I loved that as well. And now I'm just so excited for Alan Wake 2. And so that is out this Friday. I already got it pre-ordered. I got it preloaded, ready to go on my Xbox. Tomorrow when this podcast goes live, the review embargo lifts. I'm very curious to see how this game does critically. Here's my guess for what happens with Alan Wake 2. It will get pretty solid critical reviews. I'm guessing a Metacritic score of around 86 or so. That's like the ballpark of where it's going to end up. And then so it'll be reviewed pretty well. It'll be pretty well regarded by gamers and people who are fans of either horror games or these kinds of mystery type suspense thriller games, or just generally like enthusiasts of gaming in general. So I suspect it will be popular among those people, but the game will probably severely underperform in terms of commercial success and probably be a huge financial flop, which won't matter because it's being published by Epic Games. So who cares? At the end of the day, Remedy will still get paid, but unfortunately it's not good when that kind of thing happens. So I'm not very confident this game's going to really move and shake and matter to a lot of people, but God damn it matters to me, and so we have to mention it. Alan Wake 2. I am a little surprised that here I am, pre-ordered, pre-downloaded, ready to go Alan Wake 2 day one, but there's a brand new Spider-Man game that just came out a week ago, and I haven't played it. I don't have access to it, so this is new for me, okay? I do feel like I'm kind of I'll be honest, I do feel like I'm kind of like betraying myself or like a version of myself. It's like, dude, if I was 10 years old and you're like, Jesse, you're going to be an adult one day with your own disposable income and your own autonomy and your own ability to go out and make financial decisions for yourself, okay? And there's going to be a day in the month of October in the year 2023 where there's going to be a brand new kick-ass Spider-Man game as well as a brand new kick-ass Mario game. And they're both going to come out like the same freaking day. And everyone's going to have nothing but amazing things to say about both games. And you are not going to buy or play either of those games. I would be like, 10-year-old Jesse denounces 28-year-old Jesse and also thinks he is dumb and a loser. But knowing 10-year-old Jesse, if I'm being honest, listen, I'm not proud of it, but I'm just being honest. I'd probably say 28-year-old Jesse is gay. But that's, whatever. Listen, things happen. Okay, we'll get to Spider-Man 2. I'm waiting for it to come to PC. This is really testing my ability to refrain from buying a PS5 because so far this generation, I've been trying to do the whole like, listen, it's excessive. I don't need all the video game consoles. I don't need all the games. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. There's not enough attention to distribute. Let's try to reel it in a little bit. Let's focus more on Xbox. I don't need to have a PS5. And so far, I've done a pretty good job. I love Ratchet and Clank, but I'll wait for it to come to PC, right? And now it's on PC, so I can play it there. And oh man, God of War Ragnarok. I know I want to play that game, but I'll play it when it comes to PC, and I'm sure it'll be on PC in the next 6 to 12 months. So that's fine. We'll wait. But damn, Spider-Man 2. That is testing my patience real hard. Like every day I come to work, my coworkers are talking about Spider-Man. Yo, did you see this on Spider-Man last night? And oh yeah, did you get to the part where blah 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 happens? I'm putting my hands over my ears. I'm like, shut up. Don't talk about this for another year until it comes to Steam. Then I can play it. So it's tough. It's very tough. I'm seeing screenshots. The game looks beautiful. I have no doubt that it's anything less than amazing, but we're not there yet. So if I'm going to cave and buy a PS5, man, I swear it's this fucking Spider-Man game. Anyway, let's move on from that. So that's it for the games coming out this week. Alan Wake 2, very much can't wait to give you a try, to pop you in my Xbox and see what you're all about. Digitally speaking, of course. And with that said, let's move on to the mildly amusing stories, updates, things from last week, previous weeks that we need to follow up on, or stories that just don't really warrant too much of a discussion, but are worthy enough of a couple minutes of our time. So starting off with this first one here from VGC, Pentiment director Josh Sawyer has said that he'd like to make a third entry in the Pillars of Eternity series if he could secure a budget similar to that of Baldur's Gate 3. In an interview with Touch Arcade, Obsidian director was asked whether he'd make Pentiment 2, Pillars of Eternity 3, or Fallout New Vegas 2 if he had an unlimited budget, no time limitations, and a dream development team, to which he said, quote, "I don't think I'd make a Pentiment 2, Sawyer responded. I really do feel very satisfied with that game. It's not like I don't want to return to it ever, but I just did it, so I'd probably wait on that. If I were ever truly to have an unlimited budget, I think I would try Pillars of Eternity 3 because I know what budget there was for Deadfire, which was not a whole lot, and I have heard from multiple people what the budget was for Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not going to talk about numbers, but if I got that budget, sure, I'd make Pillars of Eternity 3. Xbox-owned studio Obsidian's Entertainment's next game, Avowed, will be released next year in 2024. Although it's not being directed by Sawyer, it has previously been who has previously worked on the Icewind Dale series, but he rose to great prominence as director of Fallout New Vegas. Quote, expanding the universe that we've created with the original Pillars of Eternity's games, Avowed brings a new perspective, a new way to fight, and a new land to explore in the world of Eora. Obsidian studio head Fergus Urquhart, said earlier this year, the Pillars games are near and dear to us, and we can't wait to share Avowed with everyone next year. In Avowed, you'll explore the living lands, a plague, wild islands set in the world of Eora. The lands are full of mysterious secrets, danger, and adventure. Okay, so we're talking about Obsidian Entertainment, who I would say is probably Xbox's most workhorse top tier studio as of now in terms of Xbox teams that have proven themselves to be incredibly reliable, to deliver great products in great timelines with great consistency, and to just really be a really shining star as to what Team Xbox is capable of and can put out there. And so with that said, we're talking about a top dog team, and these guys have been making, before they were on Team Xbox, before they were first party, back when they were a little more nimble, trying to move from project to project and working on slimmer shoestring budgets, so to speak, they were working on the Pillars of Eternity series. Now, we all know Avowed while not directly a sequel to Pillars of Eternity 2 or anything like that, it is set in the same universe. So kind of like how Fallout 3 is set in the Fallout universe, but you don't necessarily need to go play the old Fallout 1 and 2 on PC that no one's really familiar with in order to really enjoy and experience Fallout 3. It's just one of those things where it's like, if you're familiar with the Pillars of Eternity series, the world of Avowed will be more enriching, more fulfilling. You'll be more familiar with kind of the lore and in the world that they've built out there. So it's kind of in that vein. And what he's basically saying is like, hey, if we could do a Pillars of Eternity 3, but with that budget that they had for Baldur's Gate 3, which just came out to a huge roaring success a few months back, we would love to go and do something like that. Here we are working on Avowed, finishing that up. But, if you're just asking me kind of a blue sky, like money time, nothing's out of the question, what would I do? Yeah, I'll go with Pillars 3, which is interesting because the only reason I bring this up is just because Josh Sawyer, he gets in the news a lot just for saying things, for like fantasizing and daydreaming about what ifs and doing these interviews and things like that. So he ends up in the news a lot for these kinds of quotes. But the reason why I find this one notable is just because it's like, well, if the thing is time and money, while I guess you can't always have the dream team, the perfect team you want, because, procuring the talent isn't always as simple as just being like, hey, I work for Microsoft and I have money. So at least 2 out of 3, the time and the money aspect, it's like, I mean, you guys could make, I would assume, a Pillars of Eternity 3 with the budget and time that was given to a game like Baldur's Gate 3, or at least I assume, because my understanding with the way Phil makes it seem and with the way these games have, all these various Xbox first-party games have been in development with nothing to show for over these past 5, 6, 7 years, is that Xbox will basically be like, what game do you want to make? Oh, you want to go make a big, expensive Pillars of Eternity 3? Okay, go fuck off for 8 years, and here's $200 million. Go fucking do that. A little bit exaggeratory, I know, but it is just to say that is kind of how Xbox runs their first party. Maybe it's something they're trying to get away from, but it is how they have been running their first party for quite a while, and it's part of why Xbox quote unquote has no games. It's just because maybe poor production and team management, or maybe just teams that have been given so much money and time to do whatever they want that they're really taking their sweet ass time delivering, or maybe a little bit of column A, column B. But regardless of what specifically is the point, it would seem to me that if Obsidian wanted to make a Pillars of Eternity 3 that is super high budget, super fleshed out, like no expense spared kind of experience, I feel like they could make that game. And so with him saying that, knowing Avowed is on the horizon, and knowing that in some ways Avowed is kind of that game, but also knowing that, at least in his mind, Avowed isn't that game, because there's a Pillars of Eternity that isn't, now we have the money and the time to make whatever we want, we're going to make a big 3D open world Pillars of Eternity game. It's like, no, that's Avowed. And then Pillars of Eternity with a big budget and a long game development time would be something else. It's like, well, damn, now I'm kind of curious to see what that would be. As someone who's probably never going to really play Pillars of Eternity, to be completely fair, I am curious to see what that is, because there's no doubt that the success to Baldur's Gate 3 is a team that was given the time and the money to take a series that's as niche and as nerdy and as involved as Baldur's Gate, and then just to be able to do it up to the nth degree, because you have the manpower, you have the time, you have the funds and the allowance to do so, and that's kind of what's drawn people to Baldur's Gate. That, and also I just think the hardcore gaming audience is becoming a little bit more susceptible and open to like really hardcore nerdy shit, thanks to From Software and shit like Elden Ring being huge. People like obtuse and challenging and strategic games these days. I mean, I'm kind of shocked how mainstream that's becoming. I mean, I guess my brain's too tiny to ever be one of those people and to be a part of that group, but I must say it is notable, and I feel like if anyone's going to be able to jump in on this bandwagon and help reap some of the reward of this movement that's being had between games like Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3. Not to suggest those are similar games, but to suggest that these super hardcore nerdy games that 5-10 years ago we would have considered to be like, oh, those are those kinds of games that have to be low budget and cater to a very specific audience, because that specific audience will buy and support these games, but they're not a big audience, and so there's not too much money to be made there. We're starting to see that narrative flip a little bit, and I wonder if a Pillars of Eternity 3 could attract a Baldur's Gate 3 type of level of attention or anything like that, in a world where we're just seeing people are just not really put off or filtered by obtuse, obscure, difficulty, super in the weeds, nerdy ass RPG style games. So, man, maybe one day we'll have to we'll see. But again, like I said, pinch of salt, because Josh Sawyer, not to suggest that he's lying or making shit up or anything. He was asked a hypothetical question and he answered it appropriately. But he's just, he gets put on the spot a lot and quoted a lot in articles for his hypothetical responses to hypothetical what if type scenarios, hypothetically, of course. All right, let's hypothetically move on to the next one here, which is normally I don't cover like marketing stuff just because, well, that's not true. A lot of what we cover technically is marketing. Normally I wouldn't cover something that's this like overtly marketing, but I don't know. It's a slow news week and there is kind of something to be said here, so you'll understand why I brought this up in a second. All right, so Xbox has kicked off its big holiday season marketing campaign with a brand new live action trailer, which they put up on the internet and on YouTube and everything the other day, and you'll probably start seeing a condensed version of this trailer, I assume, on Sundays during commercial time for NFL games and for various big live events like that. So you'll start to see this commercial throughout the holiday season, but it's a new trailer titled Wake Up and Dream. So anyway, oh yeah, it says here that the trailer will debut during Thursday Night Football. So look, I was already right. Okay, anyway, according to Microsoft, this trailer is an immersive adventure story inspired by gamers and their dreams, going beyond imagination and capturing the fun, joy, and community and love we all share for our favorite games and epic gaming moments experience with our friends. So, Jesse, why are you talking about this? Are you really that desperate for news to discuss on your podcast? Yes and no. There is a reason I'm bringing this up, and it's because not only is this just another ethereal, weird, modern Xbox commercial where someone's walking on the surface of the moon / the sun / in a futuristic city / Nowheresville, and then touching a wall that turns into an Xbox, and then they're at the couch playing the game, and he goes, "Whoop, how are your dreams?" Not only is it, yes, another one of those trailers, the reason why it's worth mentioning is because this girl's like walking around, she's in space, and it's like, oh, look, it's Starfield. Okay, she's like walking through the world of Starfield, and it's all cool and ethereal. All right, that makes sense. They're kind of hyping up a new game that's like their hot title right now. Then she like walks into a new dimension, and it's like this creepy world where there's all these dangling lights and water and murky dark areas. And it's like, oh, it's Hellblade 2. And you hear all the whispering. It's like, okay, she's walking through this new world. It's Hellblade 2. And then she walks into the new world, and it's like Forza. It's like zoom, zoom, zoom. I'm a car. I'm going to go fast. Get in my way. Hong Kong, bitches. And it's a Forza world, okay? All right. They're advertising their latest games that they have coming up pretty soon. Big stuff worth talking about. Okay, nothing to talk about here. Then the girl transports. You can see the trailer online, but she's like transporting into like an apartment or something. She walks through like the wall, and she sees like this it's like an out of body experience, and she sees this girl sitting down holding an Xbox controller in front of a TV, and she's playing a video game. But the camera's focused on the girl, and everything else has like a bokeh effect, so it's kind of like a blurred background. But if you listen closely to the audio, and the trailer is trying to be a little discreet about it, but if you listen close to the audio, and you pause the video and you look real close to the TV, I could be making this up, I could be seeing things, but I watched it 3 times to be sure, and I'm pretty certain this girl's playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2. It's definitely Nuketown. If it's a different Black Ops game, whatever, I'm wrong. But this shit's Nuketown, okay? She's running around Nuketown. I see it. You can hear the gunfire. It sounds like Call of Duty gunfire. You can hear just the constant, the Call of Duty sounds that you know. And I'm like, okay, this is different. This girl goes from walking around Starfield land and Hellblade land and Forza land and all this stuff, and then she like goes into this apartment, opens a door, and sees like a different version of herself sitting down at a TV playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and it shows her for like 2 seconds. You gotta like pause the video and stare. I mostly caught it because my stupid fucking ears couldn't not notice that sounded like Call of Duty, so I had to rewind and watch it. Anyway, then the trailer continues on. This is the only thing that throws a wrench in it, is that the last thing it shows before it's like, power your dreams, Xbox, buy one, bitch, is that she like walks out of the apartment and then busts a hole in the wall and is pulled into the world of Cyberpunk. It's like, okay, Starfield, Hellblade, Forza, those are all Xbox games. Cyberpunk, that's third party. okay, so, it's a partner game. Obviously, Cyberpunk has its marketing campaign aligned with Xbox. That's not surprising. It's not shocking. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not trying to suggest Microsoft's going to go buy CD Projekt Red or anything like that. But it's like, okay. But it's weird how it's like, big Xbox title, another big Xbox title, another big Xbox title. Mystery game, maybe Call of Duty, shown off screen in the distance for a split second. Boom. Big partner third-party game, Cyberpunk 2077. And obviously they're showing Cyberpunk because the new Phantom Liberty DLC, they're promoting that, so whatever. And then the trailer wraps up and it does the whole power your dreams, buy an Xbox, dumbass. So it wraps up with that, right? But I can't help but be like, did they have like an alternate version of this trailer where like after she walks into Forza Land, she like walks into like Halo Land or walks into like Avowed Land or something like, or Fable Land or something like that, right? And then goes into Cyberpunk Land? Because it's really weird that she's in like Starfield Land, Hellblade, Forza Land, whatever, and then she walks into an apartment and there's like a mirror version of herself that's like, "Hello, stranger," and she's playing Call of Duty in the background off screen, and then it goes back into these mystical lands and now she's in Cyberpunk Land. And I can't help but think like, is there like an alternate version of this trailer where the Activision deal didn't go through, where like she walks into Halo Land or something like that and then Cyberpunk? But then the deal like finalized, so the marketing team was like, go with the B mode trailer. We don't have time to do the CG and the mocap and all the other shit. So just film a scene where the girl walks into an apartment and sees someone playing Call of Duty for 2 fucking seconds, and then we'll do the Cyberpunk scene. And I'm not trying to be super tinfoil hat here or anything, but it's like they're nodding to Black Ops 2. So when's that shit coming to Game Pass? So I guess there's really not much to say here. There's not much to speculate on. I mean, Xbox now owns Activision. Technically, Black Ops 2 is a game owned by Microsoft and Xbox. So, I mean, yeah, one day you assume Black Ops 2 will be on Game Pass, and, no one's going to be super shocked to see that happens. But what are they teasing here? Are they trying to get our jollies? I just thought that was a cool little nod, I guess. So I just want to mention that. Listen, it's not every day I make a discovery. It's like when I found out I was fat because I stood on a scale for the first time after 25 years of thinking I was normal weight. It's exciting. I got something to talk about. So here's that. I just wanted to put that out there. Maybe watch the trailer. Let me know what you think. Maybe you're watching, you're like, Jesse, you stupid idiot. Clearly she's playing Counter-Strike Go for the Xbox 360, part of the orange box. Was that CSGO or was that CS Source? What was that? The Counter-Strike that was on... There's an Xbox Live Arcade version of Counter-Strike. Was that Counter-Strike Go? You know what? I actually don't give a shit. Let's move on. All right, one more small story before we get into the real news this week. Nintendo. Let's talk about Nintendo for a second. So, spoiler alert, this story is a whole lot of nothing, but I feel like we'd be remiss not to talk about it because people are going to be talking about this all week because it has to do with Nintendo commenting on Xbox. So, here we go. From VGC, Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser has commented on the company's relationship with Microsoft after Xbox was revealed to be a potential suitor for the Mario Maker. So just, we don't have to read all of this. So just for context, we're going back to that big Xbox leak from a few weeks ago, referring to the email where Phil Spencer was talking to someone else within the company, talking about Nintendo being a prime asset for Xbox, and that, the plan one day would be awesome to try and buy Nintendo, and that Nintendo just doesn't realize that their future is with Xbox, being a part of Xbox. It's just taking them a really long time to realize that. So remember that email? Yeah, this is a nod back to that. So Nintendo CEO Doug Bowser was in an interview with Inverse this past week, where he was asked about that. And he was asked about their relationship with Xbox and what they thought about that news coming out, those leaks and everything, to which he said, "We have a great relationship with Microsoft. We consider them to be partners in many, many ways. And you only have to look at Nintendo Switch to see that partnership. Obviously, Minecraft is on Nintendo Switch. And we also brought Banjo-Kazooie to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So we're looking forward to that partnership continuing." Not even mentioning Ori and the Blind Forest and Will of the Wisps as well. But anyway. Yep, so that is much to do about nothing, because Nintendo CEO is basically commenting but saying nothing. It's like, oh, did you see that? It's like politicians. It's like, oh yeah, people are dying in the fucking streets and can't afford housing. What are you gonna do about it? And then the politicians are like, we gotta stop woke culture. And then everyone's like, woo! And it's like, well, that didn't answer the thing about the Americans that don't have fucking jobs and are dying in the streets. But okay, whatever. And then we all just move on because we're constantly using PR to avoid actually addressing the problem or the concern. So in this case, the problem or the concern, the homelessness and the child hunger would be Microsoft's need to buy Nintendo, and the politicians skirting the question and saying a whole lot of nothing would be Doug Bowser saying, Minecraft is on Nintendo Switch. Newsflash, bitch! Minecraft's on PlayStation, okay? So anyway, yes, of course there is a little bit of a friendly relationship between Nintendo and Xbox these days, but you know what I think that really is? It's Nintendo's more than happy to let you put your stupid shit on their console, and then they'll never give you a bone. Like it's really a one-way relationship when you think about it, because Nintendo doesn't need Xbox, and Xbox doesn't necessarily need Nintendo, but they'd like to have Nintendo, and they'd like to have Game Pass be available on Nintendo platforms someday in the future, and they would like for Nintendo to maybe be a part of Xbox, which is never going to happen. However, Xbox lives in La La Land, where that might one day maybe sort of kind of happen, and Nintendo lives in the real world, where they can shit out the same broken Pokemon game every other year, and people will buy it by the 30 millions of copies sold range, because Nintendo's got you by the balls for your nostalgia, just like Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't have to put out a good game for me to plop down $60-$70. Anyway, told you it was a whole lot of nothing, but hey, Nintendo said something about it, so we had to cover it, and there it is. Doug Bowser, I don't know much about you, but I do hope you enjoyed playing as Banjo-Kazooie in the latest Super Smash Bros. Ultimate update. Now let's move on from the opening news stories into the proper run of podcasts, beginning with the news. Just kidding. We don't do that. You know we don't do that. We talk about the games I've been playing this week. But before I can tell you about the games I've been playing this week, gotta fuel myself up and tell you about what I've been eating. Addressing last week's, Jesse, you're too negative sometimes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to be a little negative here. Normally, I'm not an Applebee's guy. I think Applebee's is kind of gross. It's normally not a place I go to. But you guys remember a couple months ago, they were doing $12.99 all-you-can-eat boneless wings, and I was like, you know what? That's got me. I got to give this a try. I'm just curious enough. For $13, I got to give it a try and see what it was all about. And I went to Applebee's for like the first time in probably 20 years, and I was like, you know what? That was actually pretty good. For $13, all-you-can-eat boneless wings, not bad in today's economy. And I had a good time, and we did it, and it was fun, and it was fine. So fast forward to this past weekend, my buddy is free, and he goes, hey, do you want to go to Walt Disney World tonight? And I said, yes, please. I would love to go to Walt Disney World tonight. So we meet up at Disney's Hollywood Studios, because this is the awesome thing about living in Orlando, Florida, is you can go to Disney World sometimes. And we go and ride the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which is a really good ride. And it was a lot of fun. And we rode it, and it was awesome. And then we went over the Slinky Dog Dash roller coaster, because it was down for the night, and then it just went up right as we walked by it. So we were able to go on it with little to no wait. And so we rode the Slinky Dog roller coaster, and it was really cool. And my girlfriend was there, and when we rode it, a firework went off in the background. So it was kind of cool, because we were on the Slinky Dog roller coaster at Toy Story Land, and then we saw fireworks in the background while we were on the roller coaster, and it was awesome. And I said, gee whiz, this is a lot of fun. I love Disney World. This is why I'm a Disney adult, because this is really fucking cool. And then afterwards, he was like, all right, it's like 9 o'clock at night. It's like 9:30 at night. Do you want to leave and go grab some food? And I'm like, I'm really poor right now, and I'm not eating anything that costs money. So do you know where we can go and get free food? And he goes, no, but I know where we can get dirt cheap food. And my girlfriend goes, ooh, dirt cheap food. We went to Applebee's a few months ago, and they have all-you-can-eat wings for $13. And it's really cheap, and it's pretty good. And it was like 9:30 at night, and it's like, ah, shit. You know what sounds good? $2 beer and $13 all-you-can-eat chicken wings. I'm like, unfortunately, that's within my budget, so we're going to go to Applebee's. Okay, good night. The Star Wars ride's fun. The Slinky Dog ride is fun. Now we're at Applebee's, okay? We get in there. This poor fucking waitress, she's got like 57 tables. It's a Friday night, Saturday night. She's got like 107 tables now, and we just throw us to her. Poor woman. She comes over our table, and you can see like how stressed out she is. I'm just like, you take your fucking time, do whatever you got to do. Forget about us if you need to, because the part of me that waited tables for 10 years like can't see another person in the restaurant industry struggling without just feeling an immense amount of guilt, even though I didn't do anything. So I'm just immediately like, you do what you got to do, catch up on your work. You come to us when you have free time. Don't worry about it. She's like, oh, okay, thank God. So we end up like spending like an hour at Applebee's just chilling, doing nothing. We finally order, and she's like, oh, the all-you-can-eat buffalo wings, $12.99, that's over. That promotion's over. It's not a thing anymore. I'm like, fuck me. Kind of wish we just went to Taco Bell at this point. And then So we have to order off the normal menu like humans. And so now for like the first time in like 20 years, I'm looking at an Applebee's menu going, what the fuck are you supposed to order at Applebee's? So Applebee's keeps calling themselves the neighborhood restaurant, the restaurant in your neighborhood or whatever. I don't know if it's a Spider-Man reference, like your friendly neighborhood Applebee's or something. I don't get it. But I'm looking at the menu. I'm like, okay, what would you get if you go to like a TGI Fridays or a Chili's or something like that? Burger's a pretty safe bet, right? It's cheap. It's safe. How bad can you fuck up a cheeseburger at a chain restaurant? So I get the neighborhood burger, which is like their signature burger. It's like cheeseburger with like Big Mac sauce and pickles on it. So I'm like, okay, give me a fucking neighborhood burger, okay? $13. It's the same cost of the chicken wings, except I don't get unlimited burgers. Let's see what happens. This burger came out. I'm pretty sure this was. She goes, "Do you want pink or no pink?" And by the way, I don't take this out on the server. This is just what happened. It's just funny. It's just like, what do you expect when you go to a chain restaurant on a Saturday night that's slammed with no server staff? She's like, pink or no pink? I'm like, I'll do pink, please. Medium rare, whatever. And then she's like, okay. And the burger comes out like 30 minutes later. This poor like hostess / bus runner / table boy or whatever his fucking title is comes out. He's just like, here's the burger, here's the fries, and like runs. And I look at this burger. I'm like, this fucking burger looks sad. The lettuce is wilted. It's from 2013. The burgers are burnt. I'm like, pink. This isn't like, do you want medium or medium well? This is like, do you want burnt or obliterated? And the cheese is so melty that it looks like it's evaporated. And I'm like, oh, you know what they fucking did? They microwaved this bitch. They didn't cook this burger. They microwaved it. And you can tell because you ever like microwave something with cheese on it and then the cheese gets like hard and bubbly and gross and it's like you don't taste the cheese. It's just like evaporates. It's like nothing ever was there. So that happens to this cheese. And so it's basically just two burnt patties with wilted lettuce. And I'm like, well, fuck. I'm not complaining about it. I'm not sending this back. Whatever. Just you chose to go out to Applebee's. You had to take responsibility for your actions. It is what it is. You know, I'm here to just hang out with my girlfriend and my friend, have a good time, get through the night. So we just fucking, I eat my microwave obliteration burger, and I'm like, wow, you know what? There's a reason why until the $12.99 all you can eat boneless wings happened. There's a reason why I hadn't been to an Applebee's in like 20 years. And so I just want to say, what I've been eating, fuck Applebee's. Not because they were understaffed. That poor server that took care of us. I hope that was an anomaly and that she hasn't been dealing with that lately. But aside from that, just the chaos and the destruction of that restaurant, and also just like the food on that menu that they have the audacity to charge patrons money for. Terrible. Absolutely disgusting. Terrible. So shout out to Applebee's. You suck. I don't love you. And while I don't normally go to these kinds of restaurants, I like to talk about like the persona of me being a TGI guy. I know that used to be a meme on the show back in the day. I do have to say, all seriousness, if you put a gun to my head, you got to go to an Applebee's, a TGI, a Chili's, something like that. What are you going to do? I stand by what I've always said. TGI Fridays is consistently the best of all of those restaurants. So laugh all you want, make the jokes. Who goes to, I don't know what it is, but what I've noticed anecdotally from all my like meme obsession over these chain restaurants is that for some reason, everyone just kind of agrees that we all like everyone likes Chili's. It's like, it's okay to like Chili's and be like, yeah, Chili's is all right. I go there like once or twice a year. Chili's is cool. Get a margarita and some fucking nachos or something like that. Like everyone's kind of cool with Chili's. And then it's like Applebee's is like, meh. And then TGI Fridays is like, oh, fuck TGI Fridays. And I'm over here just like, bitch, they're all basically the same restaurant. So how dare you come in here and act like there's a hierarchy? And then I'm hypocritically over here eating at all three of them simultaneously saying there is a hierarchy, and it's Applebee's at the bottom, it's Chili's in the middle, and TGI Fridays a little above the top. It's like there's the top, and then above that is TGI Fridays because it's just this extra step above the rest. So shout out to TGI Fridays. Fuck you, Applebee's, burning my microwave obliteration burger. And also shout out to Disney World. I like Disney World. It's fun to go play there. I like not having kids and being a big adult baby and riding the Star Wars ride sometimes. It's fun. Okay, that's it for what I've been eating. Guys, let's move on over to the what I've been playing. And I'm very excited to talk about this week because Halo 5... Nope, I said that last week and I fucked up again this week. Halo Infinite, I wish it was Halo 5, but Halo Infinite Season 5 dropped late last week, and I finally gotten some time to sit down and play it. And spoiler alert, it's fucking phenomenal. It's really, really exciting, and it warms my heart in all the right ways, and in so many ways that I don't know how many ways you can warm a heart. Maybe you can grill it on the burger grill, or maybe you can fucking microwave it like they did with my cheeseburger at Applebee's. But it warms my heart nonetheless to say that Halo Infinite is in a place right now where I would say if you haven't played this game, you were stupid and you were dumb at the same fucking time. That's what you are. Because this new update for Halo Infinite has completely reinvigorated my appreciation and love of this game. And I've been in a really sad place with Halo lately because for some reason, I don't know, the Halo Infinite kind of let me down. Like at first it was great. I love the multiplayer. I love the campaign. I was really excited about it. But it's just a combination of like, not that like content wasn't coming out fast enough. I'm not on like team like, fuck you 343. We need more maps now. But it's just like every time there was content, I felt like they were always doing the wrong thing. It's like, why is it another map that just looks like the Pacific Northwest or some Forerunner infrastructure, or like something kind of soulless and unimaginative? Or like, why are they not focusing on like adding new equipment to the game? Or like, why does the game feel so sweaty? What about this game what makes it feel so competitive? Is it skill-based matchmaking? Is it time to kill? Is it something about the movement? Is like what is it, the spawn? Like, what is it about this game that feels so sweaty when I play it? And I just haven't had a really good time on Halo Infinite as time's worn on. And so really for the most part this past year, I just haven't really played Halo Infinite a lot. Like every couple of months I'll boot it up, I'll play it for an evening, and I'll be like, am I enjoying it yet? I'm like, no. And I feel bad saying this. Like season 3, I bought the battle pass when it came out. I played it for like a weekend. I was like, I'm just not feeling any of this new. I wasn't feeling the bandit when the bandit weapon was introduced. I wasn't feeling the new maps at the time. I got to like level 7 on that battle pass and noped out. And then season 4 came out. I didn't even play it. I didn't buy the battle pass. I didn't play whatever updates came with it. I don't know what season 4 was even about. I just didn't. I was like, you know what? I just got to stay. I don't need to feel an unnecessary pressure to engage with Halo just because I like Halo. Like if I need some space right now, I'm just going to take that space. But something about, I don't know what it is, but it seems like everyone's kind of on the same page too, where it's like something about season 5 was just like, this is the drop. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Here it is. Halo's back, baby. Like I went back when they introduced Infection a few months ago, and I was just like, yeah, I'm still not feeling it. But this update is a big fucking update. Yes, we have these 2 new maps, and we'll get into that in a second. But also, everything about this update just feels like the change this game has been needing. I don't know if I'm going crazy or if this is in a patch development log on the website somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making this up. But the game feels different. Something feels different. The game feels a little smoother. The feedback feels a little more responsive. The guns have been tuned a little bit, or at least some of them have been. Something about this game feels different now. I'm playing these new maps. First of all, shout out to these new maps. They're phenomenal. I don't know their names, but there's the one that's like that Needler cave, like where all the Needler energy shit is harvested and mined to make the Needler weapon, which is a fucking awesome location for lore purposes and also just a beautiful looking map. It's a really fun small scale map. I adore the hell out of this map. It is an instant classic. I love this map. And so I'm playing that like crazy. And then the other map, I don't like it as much, but the other map is pretty solid. It's a pretty solid map. And it's like that kind of, I don't even know what it is. It's like, it looks very Halo 2. It's like an outdoor, some kind of structure in the sky type deal, but it's a very fun capture the flag or objective based map. Kind of a medium to large size map. And both maps are really solid, but but more to the point than just, wow, finally new maps that look visually different from the rest of the game, and also new maps that are just kind of fun and well structured. But more to it than that, it's like the game just feels a little different. And again, I might just be I don't know if maybe 343 came out and was like, we have changed nothing about the tuning of the game. It is exactly the same as it was 6 months ago. Jesse's fucking stupid. Don't let him convince you that things have changed. I don't know, but I'm just playing the game, and for some reason it just feels a little different. Like I'm having fun. It kind of feels like back when I used to play like Halo Reach a whole lot, or Halo 4 and 5, where it's like, some games I lose, that's fine. But most games I'm just kind of like dominating. I'm like, I'm having consistent games where it's like, oh, look, I went 20-6 on Slayer. That's fucking awesome. Oh, look, I got the MVP award because I'm capturing the most bases and strongholds. And look at that. I'm a king of the hill. I got the most time on the hill. Look at, like, it's like back to the way it used to be when I played Halo, where I'm like, okay, sometimes I lose, sometimes I get my ass kicked, no doubt. But, a little more than half the time, maybe like 60, 65% of the time, I kick ass. Like, I do really well. And I'm like, I don't know if, again, maybe they just tuned the skill-based matchmaking and now I like it better. Or maybe they really did work with netcode, or maybe they really did tune the weapons differently. I don't know what it is, but this game just feels snappier, more precise. The feedback's a little better. I'm just enjoying it a lot more. And these new maps are great. And so shout out to that aspect. But on top of that, they didn't stop there, because next week, the new firefight mode comes out. Firefight being one of the best parts of Halo, and I can't wait to try that out. And then on top of that, they introduced AI into, like, enemy AI into Forge, so you can build like scenarios and levels. And I saw people are like remaking Left 4 Dead maps and shit in Forge mode and all that stuff. So I can't wait to give that a try. I was trying to join other people's custom games, and I don't know if there was issues or something, but I couldn't get into any of them, so I was a little disappointed with that. I couldn't really give it a go, but I got to figure that out this weekend and try that. Although I probably won't be playing Alan Wake 2, but God damn, it feels so good in seeing this resurgence in players and this overall like happy attitude people have about Halo. It's just so exciting to see people like enthusiastic about Halo again. So shout out to 343 and the work they've done with this new season. I love the new ranking system, by the way, with having Spartan ranks back. I wish there was a way to like check your progression, so like what the next level is and what all the levels are, so you can kind of like check your rank relative, because it's not like you're rank 1 of 200, you're rank 3 or whatever. It's like you're a corporal bronze tier 4 or something like that, you know. It's like very much like the Halo Reach leveling or rank system in terms of your Spartan rank. So I hope they expand that out a little more, so it's a little easier to look around the menus and see like what the next level is, or like what all the leveling tiers are, so you can see relatively how high or low rank you are and all that. So I do hope they expand on that, and I'm sure they will. But I wanted to shout them out because while they're already on this high where Halo Infinite's feeling so good, this new content drop's really good. Halo goes out, the official Halo Twitter account goes out and tweets the following, and they say that a Halo 3 refueled update is coming out on November 14th. So not only next week are we getting this new firefight mode, but then the week after that, is the week after that, or is it 2 weeks after that, right? Next week. Okay, I guess it's like 2 weeks after that. A new Halo 3 refueled update is coming to Halo Infinite. And so what is that? Okay, 8 Halo 3 maps are being remade and brought into Halo Infinite. And from what I can tell, this isn't like we remade them in Forge, or like our highest, biggest fans remade them in Forge and now we made a playlist with them, which is, it's cool when they do that, don't get me wrong, but it's not that. It's like, no, 343 is bringing these maps from Halo 3 into Halo Reach, like official ports and updates of these maps, and it's so cool. So the following Halo 3 maps are going to be in there: Isolation, Narrows, High Ground, fucking shout to High Ground, one of my favorite Halo maps of all time, Cliffside, The Pit, Domicile, Sylvanus, and Critical Dew Point. I think they've renamed some of these because this is kind of a thing they're doing in promotion of the new Mountain Dew game fuel, which is coming out on November 6th. So some of the maps have like a little bit of a Mountain Dew theming twist to it or something like that, which is ridiculous, but also like super fun and stupid in a really good way. So I'm very excited about this. We're getting the new Halo game fuel on November 6th. No doubt I'll be man, dude, the first thing I do when I close on this house and buy a refrigerator is I'm gonna fucking screw you, broccoli and chicken breasts. I'm stocking that bitch high with Mountain Dew game fuel. So that's the plan. So this is a good thing. This update's coming out. We're gonna move, get the TV installed, get the internet in there, get the refrigerator full of the Mountain Dew Citrus Cherry, and then I'm gonna play some fucking nostalgic Halo 3 maps and be like, look, it's like nothing's ever changed. I'm just, no matter where I go, no matter where I live, I'm just playing the same fucking 8 Halo 3 maps. But anyway, I'm very excited about that update. Very much looking forward to it. And it's just, dude, shout out to 343. Very happy about that. So yeah, not playing Spider-Man 2 yet. Not playing Sonic Superstars yet. Not playing Mario Wonder yet. But Halo is firing on all cylinders, and it's really heartwarming to see the player base shooting up on console and PC, and to see people are just really enthusiastic about Halo at this point in time. So even though everything with the narrative of Halo, with the way they fucked over the narrative of Halo 5, and now they're fucking over the narrative of Halo Infinite, even though that's all a complete clusterfuck and it sucks and it's disappointing, at least on the multiplayer front, Halo is in a really, really solid spot right now, and that just makes me super happy. So shout out to Halo Infinite. Shout out to 343 Industries. I love you guys. I hope you guys bounce back bigger and stronger than ever before. And that's it for what I've been playing this week, you guys. Next week, we'll be talking all about Alan Wake 2. I cannot wait to get my hands on that this weekend. But yeah, that's it for what I've been playing. shout out to Blink-182. They put out a new record this week, so yeah, it's all the nostalgia stuff here. We got our old Halo 3 maps. We got new Blink-182 music in the year 2023. It's a good time to be a nostalgic video gamer. All right, let's take a quick break and then jump into the news. All right, so let's kick off the news. I do want to just real quick acknowledge that Microsoft had they had the 2023, let me see what they call it, the 2023 Xbox Partner Preview, which was like a little mini showcase thing showing videos. Basically, it was a series of trailers, kind of like a mini showcase of various indie games and third-party partners that are going to be releasing games soon for Xbox. And so it's like a little showcase showing off trailers for imminent third-party and indie games coming to Xbox. So I knew this wasn't going to be like a super big deal, but I did want to just kind of go over and highlight a couple things that were shown at the show because I think some people will probably care. So we got our first. I'm just going to go down the list. I pulled up the article from Windows Central that's just kind of like showing everything that was displayed at the event, I'll say. And so just running down the list real quick, they did show the first trailer for Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is the Metal Gear Solid 3 from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5 remake. And I must say the game looks pretty damn good. I know a lot of people are a little like dubious of like what the quality of this will be like, knowing that this is a from the ground remake being done by a team that doesn't, a developer that doesn't have the best track record. I forget, man, I think they're a Singapore-based studio. I forget their name, but they don't have a really great track record. I know a lot of people were a little skeptical about whether or not this would come out looking great, but it does look pretty damn good. And I think my guess is going to be that at the very least, Metal Gear Solid diehard fans might have their opinions, but if you've never played Metal Gear Solid 3, this is probably going to be the premier way to play. In fact, that's probably the way I'm planning on giving it a go. I do want one of my plans for 2024 is to play through the entire Metal Gear Solid franchise, or as much of it as I can through Xbox, because I've only ever played parts of 2 and all of the first game, despite watching my brothers play this series basically my whole life. So I do want to finally get acquainted with all the entries, from firsthand next year. And so I must say this does look pretty good. But yeah, so that was like the first thing they showed. Pretty big one of the bigger things they showed for sure. And then they also showed a new trailer for Alan Wake 2. I will skip over this. I'm not watching this. I'm on media blackout for this game because it comes out in about a day from the time you're listening to this podcast, and I just don't want to spoil any of this for myself. So sorry, I got nothing to say. Alan Wake 2, here's a trailer. Just go play the game. I'm sure it's going to be great. Remedy doesn't make bad games, so just go play the damn game. Next up, they showed a trailer for Ark Survival Ascended, which, oh my god, I don't care. I'm pretty sure this is an update or a new thing for Ark Survival, which I don't understand because I thought they were making an Ark Survival 2, so I don't know why they're working on Ark Survival, but yes, I just have so little enthusiasm for Ark Survival that I'm just not, again, not to be negative, but just because I gotta be genuine. I don't care about Ark Survival, so why would I sit here and talk about it if I don't have to? Then next up, they showed off this new mode for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, so the upcoming Yakuza game, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. They showed off a new trailer, which introduces this new like mini game or sub mode, or like that will be in the game where you can go to this island, I guess the main island you play in the game, and it's like a Dragon or Yakuza's version of Animal Crossing, where you can build this island out and meet neighbors and build property and design and decorate and all these things. It's basically like Yakuza meets Animal Crossing a little bit, and it looks cute and fun, but the last thing I need is more time sunken into these games because there's just too many of them to play. So it is very cool. It's fun to see them really fleshing out this game and introducing new mechanics to keep players hooked, but oh my god, as if we needed more excuses to spend more time on this franchise because there's just so much to engage with when it comes to the Yakuza series, or the Like a Dragon series as it's now referred to. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. That game is coming out on January 26th. And then, of course, as a reminder, The Man Who Erased His Name is coming out November 9th, a Day 1 Game Pass game. So again, so much Yakuza if you're a fan of these games. So that's what they showed next. Following that, they showed a trailer for Still Wakes the Deep, which is a narrative horror game from the creators of the Amnesia games, which looks pretty interesting, I'm not going to lie. Very atmospheric, very walking sim-like, which I know a lot of people don't like. Problem is, I don't like the Amnesia games, so I feel like this is probably like a wait and see what people have to say about it before you go take a look at it. But it's expected to come out in early 2024, and it is developed by the Chinese Room, which is They are that Everyone's Gone to the Rapture studio. That no, they did Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Yeah, I love that game. So that maybe I don't know. This game looks pretty good. Looks pretty compelling. I'm pretty sure they showed it off for the first time earlier this year though. Next up, they showed Manor Lords. Which I have just, it's going into Xbox Partner Preview, but I just have nothing to say about this. It'll be a PC Partner Preview game. I don't know if it's coming to console at all, but it is a war strategy type game, and I just have, again, in all honesty, I have nothing to say about it. But it does come out on April 26th next year, so it is a game that is going to be aligned with Xbox, so we're going to see more on that in the future. Next up, they showed a game I haven't seen before that looks freaking awesome. Apparently, this is now just being announced. This is new. Okay, so anyway, Thunderful Games, it's an indie publisher, announced another partnership with Xbox. They did the Gunk game that came out about 2 years ago on Xbox. They announced another partnership with Xbox for a new game that they're publishing for Xbox. It will be a Game Pass game. Yeah, I would look forward to this. Most likely a day one Game Pass game. But this game, let me talk about what the game actually is instead of just talking about this other stuff that no one cares about. So the game's called Icaro Will Not Die, and it looks fucking awesome. I don't know what this game is, but it looks like a action, like maybe Metroidvania type game that's like 3D with a little bit of 2D stuff, but mostly 3D. And it's like an action, slightly platformer, like sci-fi traversal type game. So it's like a little bit of Tony Hawk / Sonic the Hedgehog meets a little bit of like a 3D character action adventure game, like I don't know, for lack of a better word, like a Jak and Daxter style game, or like Jak 2 or something like that, in like this sci-fi cyberpunk world, and it looks just so fucking cool. I'm very much interested in this game, and I will 100% play this. It's being developed by, and I don't recognize these guys, Future Lab game. The game looks phenomenal. It looks super badass. Really good get for Game Pass. This is that kind of like supplementary stuff you need for Game Pass that's like really going to help spice up the service, because in between your big games, you just need these nice like, oh, I'm going to play this game this weekend and have a really good time with it, like Ravenlock was earlier this year, or something like that, where it's just it's just a nice supplemental little game for Game Pass. And I think this looks like really, really good shit. And so very excited to see more about that next year, hopefully when it comes out, although they didn't say anything about release date, so we'll just have to wait and see. They showed some other stuff, a new RoboCop game, things like that. They showed Dungeons of Hinterberg again, which I feel like we've seen recently, but that will be a Game Pass game. But I don't really want to talk about any of that. I just want to talk about the last game they showed, which is called The Finals. This game's been revealed already, but they kind of had a big announcement with it where The Finals, which is a team-based competitive shooter game, is having a closed beta, which will be available the day this podcast goes live, Thursday the 26th. So if you're an Xbox Partner Preview member, you can jump into this closed beta and give it a try. The game is being developed by Embark Studios, which is a team I've never heard of. It doesn't look like they've really done anything. They may be a support team, but they're a European-based studio, and I think it's being published by what are they called? Nexon or whatever? Not Exxon Mobil, but I think Nexon or whatever, that Korean publisher. I'm not sure, but it looks really, really good in kind of a cringy way, but also a good way. It looks like it's a kind of European style military first person shooter look, kind of like, I don't know, like Battlefield 2042 almost, but with all the trappings of like these kinds of like modern free-to-play multiplayer games where it's like, whoa, I have a lot of personality and I'm in a battle royale game. Watch me do a quip, and look at this girl with purple hair who doesn't take shit from anyone and is totally a badass. And here's a panda bear costume. It's like one of those games a little bit, mixed with like some of the visual combat and stuff of like a game almost like Battlefield 2042. I would say the game looks like a perfect blend between Battlefield and Overwatch. It's just a very weird mix, but it looks really good. Like the gameplay looks really fun, and the graphics and the visuals are very stunning, which I feel like you see this a lot with these odd European games, like these Eastern European games that like look visually stunning but are a little janky when you actually play them. But I don't know, man. This game looks cool. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully, give it a try with this closed beta. I would like to play this game for a little bit, just kind of get a feel for it, because that's like my big thing with it. It's like I know I don't have time for another games as a service multiplayer online game, but it just looks so interesting that I at least want to get a feel for what it controls like. It's got like zip lines and it's objective based multiplayer, so it's like kind of like that Overwatch style modern competitive games as a service type thing. But it looks also like serious and totally goofy at the same time. Like you're in an arena and there's a crowd cheering for you, but also you got like super serious, badass looking weapons and you're like killing the fuck out of people. So it's a very odd mashup of artistic styles and flares. I'm glad they just don't go for like a cartoony Fortnite look at the very least, but it does look very cartoony, not so much in its art style, but in terms of its like tone and demeanor. So again, I normally am not so much a fan of these games. I feel like this kind of stuff's a little bit like a dime a dozen type of deal. Kind of reminds me of like Hyenas, which just got canceled, but it also does look fun, and I'm always open to play a new fun game. So I will give this game a try. I'm very curious to see how people respond. Apparently there was a beta for it, a different closed beta earlier in the year, and people said that it had performance issues. So I'm curious to see how this beta plays out, if it plays well, if it's fun to play, how it is, all those good things. So very much looking forward to this game. And that was the Partners Showcase, and really not a whole lot, nothing of super substance, like severe substance or anything like that. Just a couple things to gloss over real quick. So with that said, let's jump into the bigger news stories. There's only 3 really this week, and there's nothing too huge, but interesting stuff nonetheless, starting with Microsoft's earnings report and where Xbox fell into all of that. So from VGC, Microsoft's gaming business enjoyed a record July to September quarter in terms of revenue generated, partly driven by the release of Starfield, of course. In its quarter 1 2024 results published this Tuesday, the Xbox parent company said that it had generated over $3.9 billion from gaming, which is the highest ever in a quarter 1 report for the brand, and it's also a record for a non-holiday quarter. Overall gaming revenue increased by 9% year over year, which Microsoft said was driven by the growth of its first-party content and Game Pass. It's notable that this window, July to September, includes the much-anticipated release of Starfield. Starfield was the best-selling game in the U.S. for September, and according to Bethesda, it reached 10 million players during the month via full purchase and via Game Pass. So when you combine all the numbers, over 10 million players. Microsoft said revenue for Xbox content and service, which is by far the division's biggest money generator, was up 13% year over year, driven by growth of Game Pass, which is really good. I'd like to know those Game Pass subscription numbers, since we know they've been flat for a little bit. I'm very curious to know what Starfield has done to the subscription numbers on Game Pass. However, Xbox hardware revenue decreased 7%, which Microsoft said was driven by lower number of consoles sold, offset by partially higher prices. Unlike fellow platform holders Sony and Microsoft doesn't announce its console sales figures as part of its quarterly results, so we don't know how the boxes are selling. Although, this is very interesting because what this tells us is Xbox as a division is doing well. Xbox hardware, not so much. So this is actually a little bit of a red flag to me, because even though in the moment it's like, yay, celebrate for Microsoft and Xbox, the division's doing well. It's growing, money's being made, revenue's being generated. I'm sure Microsoft's quite pleased with its numbers. The problem is, last month, despite Starfield being the best-selling game of the month, and despite how much it clearly bolstered these numbers for Microsoft over their Q1 earnings, it's a little nerve-wracking to see that something like Starfield didn't really move the needle too much on hardware revenue. In fact, hardware revenue decreased. And also keep in mind that during that time period, they released that Xbox Series S that comes in black with a terabyte hard drive. So it's like they introduced more options for hardware during this time period, and still hardware fell. PS5 was the best-selling console during this time period, despite the fact that Starfield came out. And Xbox hardware fell, despite the fact that they came out with a slightly refreshed new SKU of the Xbox Series S. To me, that is trouble, because it means that Starfield's doing really well among people who already own Xboxes and among mostly PC gamers. I'm sure Starfield did very, 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 very well on PC, and that the people playing on Xbox are people who already own an Xbox and are already subscribed to Game Pass, or maybe bought Starfield on Xbox, but that's a very small number of people. And so it's great to see that Starfield is driving people to subscribe to Game Pass, and it's great to see that Xbox made a lot of money for whatever that matters over the quarter in terms of keeping their brand healthy and alive, right? But it's concerning because at the end of the day, I know much like myself, a lot of you guys feel similar, where I want Xbox to continue to exist because I like Xbox and I like playing my games in this ecosystem on this platform, but I want to make sure the box is always there. That's great that we can stream it from a stick or have Xbox be an app on our TVs or play Xbox games on our phone and cloud stream this and that and all the various ways we can engage with Xbox's service and platform off of the actual hardware itself. But at the end of the day, and like Phil Spencer recently said, there will always be a box, and he wants to support those players first. Those people that are buying the actual hardware. And so as someone who loves Xbox in the traditional sense, where I love the console, I love the Xbox Series X, I love the games I get to play on that machine, it's a little concerning that the brand is growing and doing well and bringing in record-breaking revenue while sales of the hardware are decreasing. That's a little bit of a concerning number. So I just want to bring that up. So it's like half a cause for celebration and half a little bit of like a red herring. So, all right. So that's really all I have to say on that. Just something I want to, keep your eye on. I'm sure Microsoft will have some aggressive kind of Xbox Series S holiday bundle that will be announced shortly. Like they did last year where they were selling Xbox Series S for $250 during the holiday period. I'm sure they will do something like that again this year to get aggressive, to get more Xboxes pushed through the next quarter, through Q2. And then, we'll see. Like if so what's the next quarter? October, November, December. If in January we're talking about Q2 numbers and it was still kind of like, yeah, hardware's down. It's like, because last year Xbox Series S could be had for a steal during the holiday season, but during a year where there was no games coming to Xbox worth a damn, right? This year, if you do a similar deal and you can get an Xbox Series S for $250, especially with how bad inflation's been this year, I feel like that's a really alluring deal for people. It's like, hey, for $250 you can get the Series S. That will play the new Starfield game everyone's talking about. That will play the new Forza game. That will play Alan Wake 2, which Jesse's really excited about. So you can put that on the back of your box. So I feel like, I don't know, if you can't have a really big holiday, post some really big holiday numbers with that kind of position in place, I feel like then we got a little bit of a concern on our hands. All right, next up, let's talk about doubling down on being a maker and a publisher of video games, kind of alleviating some concerns that maybe no one had until right this second, because now Satya Nadella is saying so. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says that the company is doubling down on games, the gaming division, following its acquisition of Activision Blizzard. In an interview with MSN, which is Microsoft's own news outlet, the acquisition topic was brought up, and Nadella was asked why it's so important, especially given how big the $65 billion acquisition costs. He says, "It is, but we're really excited about it," Nadella said, explaining that games have been one of Microsoft's three main arms ever since the company's early days. For us, there are a few things that we get to go back, all the way back for us as a company, he explained. Gaming is one, right? When I think about Microsoft, I think of perhaps, you can tell that Satya Nadella and Phil Spencer share the same PR trainer, because I do that. When I think about Microsoft, I think of perhaps developer tools, proprietary software, and gaming. Those are the three things that we've done from the very beginning. And to us, gaming is one place where we think we have a real contribution to make in its consumer markets. Nadella went on to explain that games are only becoming more popular with each new generation, and that Activision Blizzard's acquisition puts Microsoft in a stronger position to cater to that growing demand. If I look at it, quote, the amount of time people are allocating to games is going up, and Gen Z is going to do more of that. The way that games are made and the way games are delivered is changing radically, whether it's mobile, console, PC, or even cloud. So we're looking forward to really doubling down as both game producer and publisher. Now, we'll be one of the largest game publishers, and also the company itself is building platforms for it, end quote. By acquiring Activision Blizzard, Microsoft has now become the second biggest games publisher by revenue, right behind Chinese company Tencent. So that shoots them up, because they were behind Sony and Nintendo and all that. That shoots them up from fourth place, I believe, to second place. So that's a big fucking deal. So a little bit of this is like a PR opportunity. Microsoft's media outlet is interviewing Microsoft's CEO to talk about Microsoft's big acquisition and what that means positively for the future of the brand and for the company. Okay, whatever. But also, here's Satya Nadella publicly saying, like, hey guys, we're here to double down and commit to games. And I feel like it's kind of interesting, because when you think about like the PC market, oh god, now I sound like Phil and Satya. When I think about the PC market and the history of where gamers have been, no, but for real, when you think about the history of the PC, it is funny because gaming has always been a core part of it, and it has always been throughout history. Just like, yeah, this cool computer device that has a processor and RAM and all of that, it does things And it's like you give these machines to nerds, whether it's the 70s, 80s, and 90s, all the way to current day. And it's like someone's always going to figure out a way to play on it. It's like, yeah, we can do all these kinds of complex calculations and be really productive and do really intense work with these machines. But also, hey, look, I can make the ball go up and down and hit it with the ping pong paddle, right? Like we can have fun with these things and make fun times happen with computers. And that's always been not comprehensive. That's always been a very core pillar to the experience of computers, of home computers. And when I feel like Microsoft is one of those companies that's like, they never really acknowledge that so much of what's done on Windows PCs has been gaming. But now that it's kind of convenient to them, they're like, yeah, I mean, it's always just been such an important part to us to focus on the gaming. It's like, bitch, Xbox happened because of like a small group of individuals who were super passionate about making this thing happen. And you've always treated Xbox like the ugly redheaded stepchild. And now that Xbox has got like, it's in the spotlight a little bit for a big acquisition, it's kind of growing and making some moves and things are happening. You're just like, oh yeah, Xbox has always just meant the world to us. Video games is such a big part of our history. So of course we're going to continue to double down and invest in it. It's like, bitch, please. You never loved Xbox until now. Although, I will say, with respect to Satya Nadella, if any CEO ever had an excuse or an opportunity to really pull the plug on Xbox and just walk away from gaming, it was that guy. And thank God he didn't do it. He did do it to our precious Windows Phone, but he didn't do it to Xbox, thankfully. And also, shout out to that interview, in the same interview, I believe, where Satya Nadella was talking about, or it was a different interview, I think, maybe, I don't know. But this week, he was basically quoted saying that he regrets not exploring mobile further and that he pulled the plug on Windows Phone, he thinks, too soon. So, take that. Windows Phone's awesome. It shouldn't have gone away. Please, Satya Nadella, bring it back. You can have Xbox, just bring back Windows Phone, please. I said that half jokingly, but please don't take away Xbox. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, there's, again, aside from this, it's just, yeah, of course he's going to say they're doubling down on it. The good thing is, I truly believe that Microsoft is very committed to gaming. Obviously, if you're going to spend almost $69 billion to acquire Activision Blizzard, you better be committed to gaming. So it's like, on the one hand, you have an Xbox that's saying, hey, we're making a lot of revenue, we're generating a lot of revenue over on Team Xbox, things are on the up and up, console sales are down. You got your CEO coming out and saying, we're doubling down on gaming, we're not going anywhere. It's like, oh, he also says the part where he says we're a company that's building platforms for gaming. So it's like, oh man, they're talking about mobile, they're talking about streaming, they're talking about Game Pass on other platforms. But I need to hear Satya Nadella say something about the box, say something about the hardware, say something about how you're really committed to the home console space, please, for love of God. So there's Satya Nadella weighing in on it all. And then we have one final story to talk about this week, which is that Xbox leadership visited Blizzard headquarters in Irvine, California this week for the first time since Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. So Sarah Bond was there, Phil Spencer, all the big wigs over at Xbox visited Blizzard in California. And so basically the story reads, Activision's EVP for Corporate Affairs, Lulu Cheng Meservey, who you may remember for all of her kind of cringy Twitter posts where she was like, corporations are awesome, during the trials, the scrutiny trials between Microsoft and the FTC and the CMA. But anyway, Lulu Cheng Meservey was sharing some images of a welcoming event this past week, and this comes from Windows Central, where they said that a relatively low-key affair took place where Phil Spencer addressed an assembled Blizzard employees to kind of be like, hey guys, we're here to talk about your future now as part of Xbox. So according to Windows Central sources, Phil Spencer emphasized that he had no answers, but instead Xbox would be listening to the needs and desires of Blizzard's staff, which is just, God, such the right PR thing to say. Quote, Spencer said that Microsoft is striving to be a source of trust for Blizzard and wants to enable Blizzard to achieve its vision and dream, the publication says, is Windows Central. Microsoft's leadership team, which has also included studios boss Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond, reportedly stated that they see Blizzard as the Pixar of the gaming industry. That is kind of funny because I actually also have always... I feel like a lot of people have said that Blizzard is kind of like the Pixar of the gaming industry, but I feel like you could also maybe kind of say that a little bit about Insomniac. It's either them or Insomniac, but that is funny because I I kind of feel that energy as well. Anyway, they say it's perhaps most notable that according to the same sources, virtually no Activision branding was present at the event. However, one image posted by Messervy does show the prominent Activision logo. Former Xbox CVP and current Blizzard president Mike Ibarra shared an image of a canvas featuring Blizzard and Xbox branding. Activision had reportedly held increased influence over Blizzard in recent years and published for cost cuts and faster release schedule. Blizzard has its own problems in recent years, including widespread allegations of toxic workplace conditions, of course. So, okay, a couple of things I do want to mention on this one. First of all, I think Phil Spencer's little quote there is very poignant, where he's basically saying, like, hey, we're not here because we bought you and now we're your new bosses and things are going to be changing around here. What he's basically saying is like, hey, we're the new guys. We came and impeded on your territory by dropping a bunch of money and being like, you're ours now. Our first objective here isn't to rule you and tell you all the things we're going to change in your lives. It's for us to sit back, learn who you are, learn how you operate, and say, what do you need from us to continue to be the best you can be? Obviously, you know, we've seen Blizzard be one of the great studios over the years, and we want to know what we can do to enable you to continue to be the best studio you can be, and also foster probably a more healthy and of a work culture, considering the allegations and the spotlight you guys have unfortunately found yourselves in over the past few years because of some unscrupulous individuals. So I assume that's basically kind of what Phil Spencer meant by what he said. And I think that's kind of classy and tasteful the way he did it, to be quite fair. But that being said, it is cool. I think kind of like what we were saying last week about Phil Spencer being like, yeah, I'm really interested in exploring this portfolio, letting any team work on whatever game they want to do, and exploring the back catalog of Activision games. I appreciate his attitude and his demeanor, but again, I wonder what it's like when we're talking 5-6 months down the road, where it's like, you know, maybe Bobby Kotick's gone by then, and you're in the captain's chair, and we're trying to get the next Call of Duty prepped and ready for 2024, and it's like, okay, what's the game plan, Captain Spencer? You're in charge of Activision Blizzard. What do you do now? Here, we handed you the keys. It's kind of a fucking mess. It is controlled chaos the way this publisher operates, and we want to know what you're going to do to make things continue to operate like a well-oiled machine. And that's kind of like what's Phil Spencer going to be saying and doing when we get to that stage in the Xbox operates Activision Blizzard, you know, story. That's what I'm really curious to see, is what the action looks like more than the words, so to speak. In addition to that, I don't think this is what the story is mentioning, but something the story said did kind of light my imagination on fire a little bit, talking about how like there was little to no Activision branding anywhere shown in the images and stuff, and it was like Xbox talking to Blizzard. I think that's because straight up they're just trying to make it a specific event about Xbox addressing Blizzard, because Blizzard is the number 2 to Activision, and this is an opportunity to be like, okay, we've talked a lot about Activision and to Activision. Now let's talk to you, Blizzard. This is your moment to be acknowledged. So I think it's nothing more than that. But the fact that they even mentioned that did have me think, it's like, why don't they just dissolve the Activision name? Because when you buy Activision, I don't think the Activision brand is the valuable thing. Unless I'm wrong. I'm trying to think like why what I'm saying right now could be misconstrued as very stupid. But it's like Blizzard is a very valuable name with a stable, very valuable IP, and King is a valuable name with a stable, valuable IP in the mobile space. But Activision as a publisher name doesn't really need to exist anymore in a world where Xbox owns them and they're not a publicly traded company. And I say that because over the recent years, Activision's done such a good job, such a stand-up, stellar, A+ classy job of obliterating any resemblance of any aspect of that company's history outside of Call of Duty by demoting studios, shutting down studios, taking studios' brand names and identity away from them, and then shoving them on Call of Duty support, to the point where it's like Activision is basically the parent company of just the Call of Duty franchise alone, and then that parent company also owns Blizzard and King. So it's like, I mean, I at that point, it's like, why not just get rid of the Activision publishing name altogether and be like, all the teams that were under Activision are now part of Xbox Game Studios, and, you know, Infinity Ward and Raven and Treyarch and all these teams and Beanox you guys are just Xbox Game Studios teams now, you know? Because whether you're under the Activision umbrella or whether you're under the Xbox Game Studios umbrella, all you're fucking doing is making Call of Duty games. So, like, why not just bring it all in? I understand why you keep Activision separate, right? Because Blizzard separate. Because I agree, Blizzard is like the Pixar of the games industry, right? Like you don't take Pixar, back when Disney acquired Pixar and be like John Lasseter and Brad Bird and all you guys, y'all are just shoved into Walt Disney Animation Studios, especially not because let's be honest, Pixar is better than Walt Disney Animation Studios, to be honest. And you don't take the guys that made Lightning McQueen and shove them up against the guys that made Frozen. You just don't do that, okay? Although Frozen's a bad example because Frozen happened way after Disney bought Pixar, but that's just a joke, okay? Calm down. Yeah, I mean, like, I think Blizzard has an identity. Blizzard, you say Blizzard Entertainment and people think Warcraft, Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, like a litany of gaming franchises come to mind. Diablo. People start to think about very specific IP made by very specific team. Like Blizzard makes sense to keep Blizzard as a separate silo, like you have Bethesda as a separate silo. I get that. But Activision, it's like, well, they folded like Neversoft and took these guys from like Vicarious Visions and shoved them into Infinity Ward and called them like I think Vicarious Visions is literally called they're called like Infinity Ward Canada or some bullshit like that. Like they literally neutered and destroyed so many of these teams at this point that it's just like, yeah, why not just make Call of Duty part of Xbox Game Studios and get rid of Activision as a brand altogether? I mean, I don't know. So it's just maybe it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, but maybe that's a decision that can't be answered yet, because what you have to do is you have to decide, how is Activision going to be run? And that's another question that we got to start to ask ourselves now as this deal is completed and we move on to the reality of Xbox owning Activision rather than the potential possibility of this deal going through, which is like, I kind of get why they let Bethesda just operate the way it does independent of Xbox and be like, Bethesda is owned by Microsoft and is part of the Xbox family, but it is independent and separate in its own way. I kind of get why they do that and allow that, especially for like Bethesda game studios and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, just do you need to do that for Activision? Like Guitar Hero's not really around anymore. Crash Bandicoot's kind of around. Like Tony Hawk, I don't know. We thought they were bringing it back and then they just didn't after a while. And then like Spyro doesn't get any games anymore. Skylanders doesn't get games anymore. You don't get unique one-off things like Prototype anymore. You guys don't make Spider-Man games anymore. Like Activision is none of the things it used to be anymore. So it's like, if it's all just going to be Call of Duty, you might as well just save yourself the trouble of just owning and operating so many brands and divisions and just bring all those teams into the Xbox Game Studios portfolio. And that way, maybe you can have a little bit more like synergy and cross-pollination between all your Xbox Game Studios teams if you just bring those guys all in-house. And also just make Treyarch an Xbox Game Studios team, because that's a cool idea. Make Black Ops a Halo game, god damn it. Anyway, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it. I just think it's interesting. But yeah, I'm very now that the deal's done and it's like we can't go back. It is what it is. We're moving on, right? This is the reality. Very optimistic about the future of all these teams and these brands under the Xbox tutelage, because I just think we can get some really exciting stuff. I know it's going to be hard. I know at the end of the day, Call of Duty makes way too much money to stop the machine. And at the end of the day, that's the monster you have to feed. I say as someone who loves Call of Duty, but that's the beast you have to satiate before you can do the exploring of bringing back Guitar Hero and the creating new IP and bringing back Prototype and all these things. Like before you do any of those things, you got to satiate the Call of Duty machine. But I feel like there's an intention and a willingness and a hope that we will explore the catalog of Activision games, that we will do more, and I'm very excited to see what that looks like with Xbox at the helm. So cool. That's gonna do it for all of our big news this week. You guys, let's round out real quick with the important enough stories. Stories important enough to make the podcast, but not important enough to warrant their own discussions. Real quick from VGC, Square Enix has given a release window for the upcoming Xbox Open Beta of Final Fantasy XIV, which will be in mid-January to February. Final Fantasy XIV will officially launch on Xbox's console in the spring of 2024, bringing the MMO to Xbox players for the first time. Next up, Hotline Miami series is going to be released for Xbox Series S and X consoles, Both Hotline Miami 1 and 2 are available digitally from today as Hotline Miami Collection, with free upgrades for existing owners and new achievements/trophies being added to the game. Publisher Developer Digital, man, I can't speak. The retro-styled, ultra-gory action game debuted in 2012 and was well received by both critics and players, and the sequel came out in 2015 with similar love and fanfare. Next up, VGC says Night Dive's Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster has been given a February 28, 2024 release date and will feature 4K resolution, 120 frames per second support depending on the platform you're on. I assume that's everything but Series S, basically. So interesting, exciting news there for the Doom Star Wars game that people are excited to play again. Next up, VGC reports the release date for Amazon Prime Video's Fallout TV show has been announced. A tweet from the official Fallout on Prime account shows a new teaser video, which seemingly confirms the date for the first episode, which is set to be April 12th, 2024, because the video ends with 04/12/24, implying that will be the date. Bethesda and Amazon confirmed in August that the Fallout TV show would be released in 2024 and set in Los Angeles, the fictional realm of Los Angeles. All right, and finally, I did just want to mention this. This is kind of more for me than it is for you guys, but whatever. From VGC... Oh, actually, this is from Windows Central. What am I saying? But, yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 promotional thing has been leaked by someone on Twitter under the name Ghost.midi. Basically, they took a backroom photo at a Little Caesars of this Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 promotional thing where you'll be able to unlock a Little Caesars Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 operator skin, which I cannot wait for. It's that cool, like, dude that wears, like, the fucking morph suit mask with all the gear, but it's orange, and it's got the Little Caesars logo, and it says hot and ready, and on his utility belt thing, he's got a pizza cutter hooked up there, and his hat says hot and ready, so it kind of plays into the Little Caesars gear you were able to unlock when Modern Warfare 2 came out last year. I assume that will be something like, go to Little Caesars, order this specific item. On your receipt, you'll get a barcode or an unlock code that you can redeem on your Xbox for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and then you can unlock the skin, which I'm 100% going to do because last year they did this with Little Caesars and Mountain Dew, where I got the Mountain Dew operator skin and I had the Little Caesars charm for my guns, and I basically ran the whole year of Modern Warfare 2 playing as the Mountain Dew guy with the Little Caesars pizza skin or charm on my gun. And so now I'm absolutely going to continue that tradition with Modern Warfare 3. I can't wait. So very cool. All right, guys, that's going to do it for all the news this week and all the stupidity, hopefully. Nope, stupidity will continue on because we have one more section left, and it's the best section of the podcast. It is the comments, the shout-outs. You know how it works. You go over to youtube.com/XboxOnPodcast, at XboxOnPodcast on youtube.com. Click on the latest episode and you drop a comment. You can say anything you want. You can be nice. You can be mean. You can be somewhere in between. But you better say something, please. And if you have access to podcast services or listen to the show via podcast services like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CastBox, whatever the hell it is you use, please consider leaving a 5-star review so we can get the show into the hands of more and more people and corrupt the entire planet with my nonsensical stupidity. Our first comment of 9 comments this week comes from Clanky, who wrote in and says, I forgot to post my comment last week about Guitar Hero. If Guitar Hero was revived, what are your thoughts on having Xbox Design Labs be in control of making the guitars and being able to customize your own? I don't know if I brought this up and touched on it briefly or if maybe someone else said something about it, but in case it hasn't been said, yes, I think this is highly improbable. Oh, no, I think I was just talking about the idea of Xbox using their in-house efforts to make these controllers again. But yeah, this is taking it a step further. Yeah. Let me just get this out of the way. I don't think this would ever happen, but I love this idea, and I think it would be so fucking cool. If they did bring back Guitar Hero and Xbox uses their in-house hardware team that makes like Xbox controllers and stuff, be in charge of designing the band kit, the Guitar Hero controller, and the drum kit and all that stuff, it would be so badass if you could go into the Xbox Design Labs and like, even if it was just like a guitar plate that could attach onto the guitar controller, maybe not necessarily the actual controller itself, but even if it was like, I don't know, even if it was like you just design a guitar plate or something for your controller and you can put like your gamer tag on it and like select from all these different colors and designs and stuff and build your own Guitar Hero controllers or face plates and then be able to get them shipped. And I that level of customization, bro, I fucking love that. I love that so much. Of course, I think the future of Guitar Hero could exist, but it would have to be kind of a platform game. It wouldn't be like Guitar Hero 29. Now that's what I call Guitar Hero, episode 437, featuring Luke Kentley and all this fucking hip hop, because they don't actually make rock music anymore. Yeah, but I think I love this idea. I want this so bad. I'm going to keep willing it into existence, even though I don't have the power to do so, because I want so deeply to have Guitar Hero come back, be as good as it was in the old days. Not later Guitar Hero, because I didn't play too much of Guitar Hero 5, 6, and all that stuff. I had Guitar Hero 5, but I didn't play too much of it past that. They got a little carried away. Warriors of Rock and all that shit. Like, none of that. We just need good old classic Guitar Hero 3, Guitar Hero 4 era Guitar Hero back in action. Make it a platform. Continue to add new content, new modes, new seasonal event. That's the kind of stuff you got to do, right? Like make it like really engaging. Yes, you always add new songs, new song packs, new content to the game, but also add like really cool stuff. Like, oh, it's a Guitar Hero event where Tom Morello is going to be playing live in Guitar Hero 7, and you're going to be able to play along with him, and then for this weekend and do this thing, and like, I don't know, like come up with like cool ways to like make it a games as a service type game and keep people engaged in the platform of Guitar Hero. Maybe I don't know, maybe I'm just being stupid and shooting from the hip and saying nonsense, but I just want Guitar Hero to come back, and I love the idea of them taking it this seriously, as to be like, yes, we're bringing Guitar Hero into the Xbox Design Labs. We're bringing the game back. We're making it a platform. We're gonna have Lazy Eye by Silver Sun pickups in the game again. It's gonna be awesome, and you're gonna play it. It's gonna feel like 2006, and you're gonna be really cool while you do it. I love it. Let's make it happen again. Bring back rock music. Make it legal again for popular music to have guitars in it. Please, for the love of fucking Christ. I love electronic music. It's cool. Computers can make really cool music too. We gotta have some room for guitars in here somewhere, guys. Please, for the love of Christ. All right, Mike Clark writes in with the next one. He's got 3-parter. Let's just go through it. Mike Clark can have as much time as he wants. He's a god among men, and we shall respect him as such. My favorite Xbox podcast now is 16 times more Activision Blizzard, but no Sonic. How dare you? The Obsidian version of Fallout is goated. Just picked up Alan Wake Remaster. Hope to give it a go this week. But damn, the sequel is looking glorious. Dude, the sequel looks so good. I for once, I don't envy someone who hasn't played. You know, it's always like, oh, I played Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time. It's like, dude, I would kill to be able to re-experience that for the first time. It's such an amazing game. I envy the fact that you've never played it, and now you get to experience it for the first time. Alan Wake is not one of those games, because even though the first Alan Wake is a great game, dude, Alan Wake 2 looks like such a big step up. If I were you, I'd be like, get through that remaster. Get through Alan Wake Remaster so you can get your ass over to Alan Wake 2, because it looks like this game's going to be good in about 24 or 48 hours when it comes out here. So I'm very much, I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think about Alan Wake. I'd be curious to know. It's a very good game. But you continue on. You say, Bobby's walking away with $390 million. He built an empire and is getting paid. Phil is thinking, fuck Hexen. I need a new yacht. LOL. Yeah. Hopefully Bobby's definitely gonna get away with a huge payday. But hopefully just that he goes away. And then we can move on and we can bring back Guitar Hero. Sony does not have the capital for Take-Two's to purchase Take-Two, but buying from Embracer Studios and IP could be something to look at. So I do want to talk to this. Yes, but Sony could probably get the funds if they wanted to. You know, like if Sony wanted to borrow money or partner with someone else to go and buy like a Take-Two or something, I think they could do so. But yes, you're right. They don't have like the cash on hand like Microsoft does. But yes, another thing they could do is buy studios from Embracer. I don't think they should or would, because I don't think Embracer really has teams of that high quality. And Sony is usually a lot more deliberate and picky and choosy, especially compared to Microsoft, when it comes to acquiring studios. They usually only want to work with the best of the best. Now, they've kind of bucked that trend a little bit with some of their recent acquisitions, I would say. You know, they're acquiring teams that haven't even put out games yet, which is very unlike Sony. But traditionally speaking, they usually only get like the best of the best. So I just can't see them, even like in a fire sale, really buying anything from Embracer. Maybe Gearbox, but like I don't know. Like I feel like Gearbox is a little overvalued, because like, I know they're good. I know they have history, and I know they've made great games. But it's like if they've proven anything, in my opinion, if they've proven anything over the past decade or so, it's that they're kind of not capable of making a hit game unless it's just another Borderlands game. So I feel like they're kind of creatively in a little bit of a spot, to be completely honest. Anyway, you said, been saying this about Xbox Manager for a while, but they don't have a Miyamoto or hell, even a Mark Cerny to lean on with their problems. As far as I'm aware, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, and Phil Spencer have never designed a video game. I'm pretty sure Phil Spencer worked in game development, although I don't know to what extent. Anyway, yeah, yes, Xbox has never really had like that kind of like savant style super genius person behind them. And I do think it shows. I do think that's true that they kind of need something like that. But anyway, you say, great show as always. Congrats on the house, and thank you again. Have a great week. Oh, also, have you been thinking about creating some YouTube shorts? No, I haven't. To be honest, I haven't. I don't have a problem with YouTube shorts. They're fine. I find myself watching them sometimes. It's just TikTok, just like TikTok is TikTok for TikTok, and just like Reels or TikTok for Instagram, and everything is fucking... Dude, I downloaded the Rooms to Go app on my phone because I'm looking at freaking couches for my house, right? So I download Rooms to Go's app because I want to buy a couch to sit on and play my Xbox in my house one day is my dream. The fucking Rooms to Go app has Instagram stories. What is this? What is wrong with the world that we just constantly need to be distracted by these short form videos? What is happening right now? I can't shop for furniture without having to watch a fucking Instagram story for like 20 minutes. Like, what is happening? I have not thought about doing YouTube shorts. It would probably be a good idea, but let's be honest. The Xbox On community is not really being formed on Twitter. Sorry, not Twitter, YouTube. And aside from this being the place where people go to leave their comments, most of this podcast growth comes from podcast services. So that's really where I'm focusing the majority of trying to get attention and get new eyes and ears is through podcast services. But I don't know. I'm also just lazy and stretched for time. I have no time. I get home from work so late and I go to work so early in the mornings. By the time I get home, it's like eat a bowl of pasta and fall asleep on the couch watching MasterChef. That sounds actually great right now. Anyway, let's move on. Thank you for writing in, Mike Clark. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and just know you have really nice hands. Cronky writes in, says, top 5 Activision Blizzard franchises to bring back. Number 5, Hexen. 4, Darkwatch. 3, Singularity. 2, StarCraft. And 1, Warcraft. What do you mean bring back Warcraft? I guess you mean like real Warcraft, not like Warcraft, World of Warcraft. You mean like Warcraft 4 or something like that. No, top 5 Activision Blizzard franchises are, I don't know the order of them, but if I'm just going to shoot from the hip like you did here, it's the Spider-Man movie games they made in the early 2000s. It's Guitar Hero, it's Call of Duty, it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I know this is what I'm missing. I don't know. Oh, in Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX. Yeah, that's the other one. They need to bring back that. I don't know. Oh, did they do X-Men? Who did X-Men? X-Men Legends. Yeah, dude, bring back. Yeah, dude. That's what they should do. Get Raven to bring back X-Men Legends. I actually, executive order. I actually just decided. Cronky, fuck you. You're wrong. What they need to do is make Guitar Hero a games as a service platform game in the vein of Guitar Hero World Tour. That's the first thing you gotta do, and make sure you have Lazy Eye by Silver Sun pickups on the set list because that song rocks. Okay, that's the first thing you need to do, right? Second thing you need to do is cancel all Call of Duties except for Black Ops games and make Black Ops a game that comes out like once every 4 years, once every 4 to 5 years, and on the years where we don't get a new Black Ops game, just give it like a shit ton of support, like new maps, new content updates, new seasonal events, things like that. So Call of Duty continues to operate kind of as a platform service type thing. Get rid of Warzone. Fuck Warzone. It's a waste of time and money. Nobody likes Warzone. Warzone sucks ass. So you just got Black Ops on constant rotation. Guitar Hero, constant, persistent online games as a service type content breeding whatever thing it is, okay? Then you remake all the old Spider-Man movie games, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, you remake them, okay? Then you make a new Tony Hawk game that kicks ass and is in the vein of Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. And then you make X-Men Legends 3. You do that, you make all 5 of those games, Phil Spencer, I will personally jerk you off. You have my word. All right. Next up, Tim R. writes in and says, hell yeah, Willy Wonka Tactics, Charlie's Revenge. The power-ups are weird afflictions that are put on the kids. Violet do the blueberry boulder smash. I know it's a reference to something stupid I said last week, but I don't specifically remember what. But Tim R., hope you're having a great week. Thank you for writing in. Sam Frito writes in and says, as a community, let us all stop being sorry for our backlogs, games, the endless journey to see improvement. Great show. Be good to yourself. Reality ain't easy here in O-Town. Is that what we're calling Orlando now? Thank you, Sam. I hope you're having a great weekend. And by the way, I must say your hair is looking mighty fine this week, so keep it up. All right, we got I'm very excited about this next one. We got 2 more commenters, but this next one, super, super compelling because it's from someone who hasn't written in a long time. Very excited and happy to see them here. Mr. Count Skyla, welcome back to the show. Count Skyla writes in and says, still loving the podcast. I know I've been quiet for a while, but I'm still listening. That puts a lot of pressure on me, Count Skyla. Now I got to perform because I know you're here. Continuing on, you said, so a couple bullet points here. Yeah, I completely share your sentiment about Modern Warfare 3. Remember last week I was talking about Modern Warfare 3, how I actually kind of agree with the sentiment that just feels like $70 DLC, despite being good, despite being fun. I'm just kind of surprised how samey it feels. Count Skyler says, I pre-ordered, played a bunch Thursday and Friday, and couldn't even bring myself to play it over the weekend. It's great, but definitely not new. The nostalgia's there, but it doesn't make me feel like grinding. It is sad that they're not bringing over the Modern Warfare 2 maps. I still play the crap out of it I'll still play the crap out of it for a few weeks, but it's not getting me super excited. I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way, not because I want other people to be disappointed, but just because, I don't know, I feel like kind of crazy, like the way I was interpreting my time spent with the game, but I'm glad I'm not the only one, in terms of being crazy, although I guess I knew I wasn't the only crazy person in the world, but Count Skyla, I'm sorry that you're disappointed by the game, because I do want Call of Duty fans to be satiated, to be given the games they deserve. But you know what the thing is I thought about, and like I don't mean to be mean to a game studio, especially considering I don't fucking know these people, and I couldn't do a fraction of what any of these people do for a day-to-day with their jobs. But what did we fucking expect? It's Sledgehammer. It's always, dude, every time I play a Call of Duty, listen, it's like this, it's always the same. Treyarch makes a Call of Duty game, it's great. Infinity Ward makes a Call of Duty game, it's pretty good, but it's got some things I don't love about it. Sledgehammer makes a Call of Duty game, what is this? What is this shit? It's always Sledgehammer. They always make the weakest Call of Duty game, so it doesn't surprise me. I'm getting the samey, additional content, doesn't feel special. Curse you, Sledgehammer. Although I really don't blame Sledgehammer for that. I think they were just kind of put on bitch duty to do expansion content. But anyway, continuing on, Count Skyler says, Halo Infinite Season 5 is very good. I had put Infinite down a while ago, so I had a blast for a few hours. I've gotten to sink into the update. The new maps are great, and the AI edition has put some new life in customs with some interesting PvP/PvE combinations. I hope they keep churning out seasons that are this substantial. Yes. Amen. I really hope Halo's at least, considering Halo Infinite's whole like platform 10 years of Halo type thing was like completely botched and is now like no longer the plan. I hope they can at least salvage this game by continuing to support it with great content over the years to come. And so far they're showing that they're capable of it. It's just a matter of whether or not that's what we see happen. But yeah, I really need to figure out how to play those custom games because I really want to try that new PvP shit. Anyway, you said also you round out with a final comment that I'm very excited to address. You said, I'm planning my next trip to Disney World. What month would you recommend for the least busy time so I can hit the most rides? I'm looking at like January, February, or September, which is well known to be the least busy months, but I wonder what you would recommend. I went in February when I was a kid and there was record-breaking cold weather and the park was absolutely empty. I rode Space Mountain over and over again with zero queue. Cocoa Beach was awful as it was cold and miserable, but Disney was unbelievable. I know recreating that experience for my kids is unrealistic, but avoiding the crowds on my trip is the highest priority. I gotta say, this is a very difficult question to answer or to provide any kind of input or advice on because back in the day, the conventional wisdom was if you want to go to Disney World during a low crowd time of the year, it was exactly, you already hit the nail on the head. It's January, February, but it's like, if it's going to be January, it's got to be like later in January. It's got to be like, I would say do not visit in January any sooner than January 20th. Like really skip the first half of January altogether because there's a lot of like spillover from the holidays and people that take extended breaks and things like that. But I would say like mid to late January throughout February, with the exception of President's Day and Valentine's Day. That used to be the conventional wisdom, is like go then or go right when the Northeast goes back to school. So I'm from the South, and in the South, you would go back to school around like August time. But I guess in like the Northeast and stuff, you guys go back to school in like September. So the rule of thumb was always wait until the beginning of September when all the kids back up north go back to school and then go to Disney World, because the combination of kids are back in school and it's now hurricane season for Florida would deter people from coming here. So like September, early October, but especially like, September, maybe late August, but especially the month of September, golden time to go to Disney World. Parks are dead. It's beautiful. You have it all to yourself. You might get some rain. Yes, it rains a lot that time of year, but suck it up. It's Florida. You came here. You should know better. It's going to rain. Get over it and have a good time. And that was so true up until I would say like 2016, 2017. That is no longer the case. From 2016 until COVID happened, it was basically just like 365 days out of the year, Walt Disney World is just a fucking bitch. Don't go there if you don't want everyone else's body sweat on you. Like, that was just the plan. And ever since COVID, it's been very weird, because that first year, once things started like normal, like last year, I would say, when everyone was like kind of doing that, as the media would call it, revenge travel, like everywhere was busy, like anywhere you'd go, just everything was sold out. Everyone was going there. Prices were skyrocketing. But this year, Disney's been seeing a sharp decline in attendance, and they keep talking about it, how like their parks are not as busy as they thought they'd be. And right now, I think what they're saying is their early 2024 bookings are looking really bad. And you always know when Disney World's not, when bookings are down, because they're offering good hotel discounts. So a little pro tip, if you're trying to book a hotel, now is the time to plan your stay for Disney World, because hotel discounts are far and wide and pretty good, like 35% off certain rooms and things like that. That being said, it's hard to gauge a good time to go, because this summer was really slow. Traditionally, summers are busy, but lately summers have been slower. So this summer was a great time to go. This past September was kind of slow like it used to be, but I don't know if it will be that way next September, or if this is just an off year. And a lot of people are speculating, well, people spent all their money doing that quote unquote revenge travel last year, so people are taking a year off this year. But some people are saying it's because of the economy and people are uncertain. Some people are saying it's because inflation, prices are high. I assume it's a little bit of everything, but lately it's just, tourism is definitely down here in Orlando. I mean, it used to sometimes take me up to like an hour and a half to get home from work, passing by Disney and SeaWorld and all that shit. Nowadays, I can get home from work in like 45 minutes some days. Like, they expanded the road a little bit, so that helps. But like, a lot of it is that tourism is down for sure. So it's kind of a hard question to answer, because I would hate to say, oh, for sure, you can come anytime early next year, the crowds will be good. And then you come, and then you're like, fuck you, Jesse. Everyone wait till January. So it's I guess what I'm trying to say is it's a complete crapshoot. I'll say that for sure. I think another contributing factor is that it used to be like, wait for all the people from like New Jersey and New York to go back home after the summer, and then the locals can come out and it'll be dead here. But the fact is, the entirety of the states of New Jersey and New York have moved to Florida, and now all of them live here. So like, they're the locals. So like, there is no such thing as like wait for the Northeast to go back to school, because they're all here now. So I don't know what to advise, because I don't know, like in my experience, it's like the parks always feel crowded these days. Like, there's never a time where the parks don't feel crowded. I will say wait times, if all you care about is getting on rides, wait times have gone down dramatically. Okay, here's the thing. I'll keep it succinct. I'll get out of here. It's an Xbox podcast. We don't need to linger on this. This is what I'll say. Follow conventional wisdom, because it's probably still your best bet. I would say September. I think September's a really good time. September was always my favorite time to visit before we moved here, because I felt like hotel deals were good. I'd rather be a little muggy and rainy, but still kind of like manageable, rather than it be cold, because contrary to popular belief, it does get cold in Florida in January, February, and it's especially bitter cold because it's like a muggy cold. So like, the air is still humid, but then it gets cold, and then it's like the wind is like freezing fucking cold. And I say this as someone from Atlanta, where I promise you Atlanta gets genuinely cold. Florida's winter, even though it's only like 72 hours long, is fucking miserable. So I would say don't do Disney in January, February. I would say do the September thing. Sweat your ass off. I like sweating. It's good for you. It's healthy for your skin. So do the September trip. Book your hotel now, because there's really good discounts being offered. And I would say try to plan to visit the parks on weekdays more than weekends because locals are a thing. And for sure, if you're going to visit on weekends, make sure you do Epcot on a weekday and not a weekend because the locals love Epcot. There's nothing a Florida local loves to do more than shit on Walt Disney, the Walt Disney Company, and then go to Epcot and spend tons of money on alcohol. So definitely avoid Epcot on the weekends. But I will say this is the last thing I wanted to mention. Ever since Disney reworked their Fast Pass system and now it costs money to get Fast Pass, they have just been making up bullshit numbers for their wait times in their parks. So like you might have the Disney app and you can check the wait times on the rides at any point in the day, and you'll see, you'll be like, oh my god, it's a 99-minute wait right now for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Oh, it's an hour and a half wait for the Slinky Dog roller coaster. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all made up. Disney just makes up ridiculous inflated numbers for the wait times so that you'll buy their stupid paid Fast Pass they do now. But the standby wait that's free that you don't have to pay for is super short. I know this because I never pay for the fucking Genie Plus add-on skip the line thing. And I never wait in line for more than like 50% of the time quoted. Like if it says it's an 80-minute wait, I usually wait 30 to 40 minutes. If it says it's a 60-minute wait, I wait like 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. It's like, it's insane. They way overinflate these times. So I will also say that. Maybe try to visit in September. Keep in mind that just because the wait time is posted super high doesn't mean the wait is actually high. They're just trying to get you to spend money. And no matter what, it's always going to feel crowded because people who live in Florida are incapable of being aware of their surroundings and bump into everyone and everything. And they like to be completely motionless and still when they're in walkways. So they will like to block your walking path at all costs. People try to blame the tourists. I'm sorry, tourists. It is not our friends visiting from the UK. It is not our friends visiting from Canada. It is not our friends visiting from the Midwest. It is the locals of Florida. They are fucking next level stupid and they can't move. So I apologize in advance and enjoy your trip to Disney. I hope that helps. I'd be a terrible vacation planner, I just realized. But thank you for writing in. Couch Skyla, it was good to see you. Good to hear from you. Hope you're doing well, you and your family. And then we'll round out with our final comment of the week. It's another non-video game related question. So just out of respect for your time, if you want to nope out right now because we're done talking about Xbox, then have a great week. But Mr. Malg writes in with the final comment and says, Jesse, congrats on the house. I'm looking forward to your streams once you get done and all the hard work is done with the move. Any financial advice for us folks similar to your age? I assume you mean in terms of like trying to buy a house. Well, first of all, thank you for writing in, Miss Mag. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I don't know. Financial advice, I will say this. The market sucks and the cards are stacked against you. If you are just a working class person trying to build a life for yourself, yeah, it sucks. The pricing sucks for everything, and it's hard to build a life for yourself when your grandparents' generation are like fucking selling their house for $8.6 trillion that they bought for like $800 in 1931. But I'll say this. I'm very blessed and fortunate for the situation I'm in because while I do just have like a completely regular day job and I make a very like standard, like regular ass working class American, borderline uneducated kind of income level, I will say that the reason why we're in the position where we were able to buy a house is simply just because I have a girlfriend who is very committed to making this work. And we both very much are on the same page and want to buy a house and own a home together. And that has been like a top priority for us for as long as we've known each other. That's pretty much it, honestly. It's because a lot of people look at the pricing of houses, they look at the interest rates, and they go, that's ridiculous. That will never happen. We can't do that. And then they just don't even try. But as discouraging as it is right now with the market being just so middle finger pointed towards the young generation trying to build a life for themselves, you cannot let all the crap that we can't control deter you. And you have to focus on trying to make a game plan that will work for you. So in my case, very fortunate to have a wonderful girlfriend I've been with for 8 years, who's very much on the same page with me in terms of what kind of life we're trying to build together. And so for us, ever since we moved to Florida, we've had the same game plan. We didn't let COVID ruin it. We didn't let inflation ruin it, or any of the shit that's happened in the past few years that have made it more difficult to buy a house. Plan's always been the same. So I pay the rent in our apartment. I pay all the bills in our apartment. Everything is paid by me. and then she tries to match everything I pay for housing and bills with our apartment, and she puts it into a joint account we have for saving towards buying a house. And we've just been doing that nonstop since we moved to Florida. So instead of living well and being like, wow, we both have dual income and we could go fucking eat at Outback Steakhouse every night and have a bloomin' onion for breakfast, lunch, and dessert, dinner, whatever you're supposed to say. Instead of doing that every day, we've just been saving like crazy for the house. And so basically I pay all the bills, and then I look at my finances when I'm done paying all my bills for the month, and I'm like, great, I'm fucking poor. But then she takes everything I do and she matches that, throws into her savings account. And it's like, okay, it's like we made rent and a payment on the house this month. And we just kept doing that for years and years and years until we had enough money to put down a deposit on a house. And yeah, it sucks because interest rates are god awful trash right now. And I don't know that they're going to get better. I'm not a financial advisor, and I hate it because I'm such an overreactor and an overthinker. I need to have firm, concrete information and confidence and assurance that things are going to be a certain way. And one thing you have to accept when you're buying a house is that you are in control of nothing. No one's in control of anything, and nothing's going to go the way you want it to go. So you just got to be prepared for the financial realities of what might happen. So in our case, we were going to buy a house back when homes were like $200,000 with interest rates of 2.9%. I swear to God, when we first moved to Florida before the pandemic, it's mind boggling. Like there were homes here that are like beautiful, perfect homes for well under $250,000. I was like, I could afford that one day. I could work my ass off and save enough money to afford a house like that with a sub 3% interest rate. And then, the pandemic happened, and all of a sudden it's like 7% interest rates. You want 7 square feet for $6.9 trillion? It's like, it's insane. But again, it's just, we went new build. I'll say this. We went new build intentionally because when you go for a new build home, you don't have to bid with other people for the house. So I know a lot of things that are a big thing that's happening with a lot of first-time home buyers is they can't buy a used home because every time they try to put their measly 10-20% down on a home, they get outbid by some fucking goon from New Jersey that's like, oh, I got $2 billion in my account because I made a lot of money in the industry back when I was a young boy in the 70s. And then they get outbid, and then the fucking 25-year-old, 30-year-old couple can't buy their first home because Joe Brony wants to buy his 7th fucking house so he can put it on Airbnb and all that shit and ruin the economy and ruin the housing market for everyone. So we just didn't even bother with that shit. We know that's the thing that people have been dealing with. Steer clear of it. We decided to just go new build. So we went to a builder. The price of the house is preset. We don't have to fight for the pricing or anything. We know exactly what to plan for, and then we sign the agreement. We lock into the house we want to build, and then we have like the 5 to 9 months while they're building the house to continue to prepare and save and plan and schedule for our move. And so for us, that ended up working a lot better. And then also a lot of these companies, what they'll do is when you build a house, they'll give you like a move-in credit. They'll give you like a purchase credit, and you can use that credit to buy down your interest rate. So even though our interest rate, don't get me wrong, our interest rate is absolute shit. Like I think we're at a 6.5% interest rate, which is atrocious, but we were able to lock in and buy that interest rate from a 7 down to a 6.5% interest rate. And now we're locked and secured at that rate. While I think right now interest rates are in the high 7s, low 8s. So like it's only getting worse and worse and worse. So that's the other thing. It's just about finding an interest rate that you can somehow stomach and manage long enough for eventually, hopefully, maybe down the line, interest rates will drop in a couple of years, and then you can refinance your house at a lower interest rate, and then your house will suddenly become affordable because the fucking Federal Reserve isn't trying to fuck over working class Americans from ever owning property. Instead of maybe stopping corporations from buying up all the single family households, we'll just raise interest rates so that all the working class families are fucking poor. But anyway, that was our thing. I pay all the bills. Girlfriend tries to match what I pay to the best of her ability, throw it in a savings account. Over time, we use that savings account for a down payment, buy a new build house so you don't have to freaking get involved in a bidding war with some rich asshole over a house, and then use your move-in credit from your builder to buy down your interest rate and try to get a slightly more stomachable, a slightly more tolerable interest rate. And that's how it works. So that's literally the only honest advice I can give you. Work hard, say no to anything you don't need. I know, like, based on the podcast, if all you do is listen to this podcast and that's the only way you know me, it probably just sounds like I blow a lot of money on going to Disney World and eating a lot of food. That's not true at all. I eat fucking brown rice, broccoli, and chicken thighs like half the week. And I save every year and budget for my Disney annual pass so that I'm able to go to Disney World on the weekends. And when I go to Disney World, it's like you park for free, you get into the park with your annual pass. Try to say no to spending money on merchandise and food as much as possible. Be disciplined. Buy only certain games. Buy games when they're on sale. Lean on Game Pass. It's a great value. And just try to be good with your money. Just try to know when to say no, when to say yes. You know, if you want to buy a new phone or something, come up with creative, savvy ways to trade shit in so you can get a deal. Things like that. So, like, I don't know, just trying to be financially wise. And then also, I mean, I got to give the credit to my girlfriend, because us being able to work together, plan together, and thankfully be on the same page with what we want to do has allowed us to be able to save. And thankfully, you know, we're in a really blessed position where we're about to own a home. But, well, actually, no, we're in the very blessed position where we're about to be in severe debt to a bank that will own a home that in 30 years we will hypothetically get to own. But nonetheless, it's a severe it's a very huge blessing, and we're really excited and grateful for it. So, Mr. Maug, if you have any other questions about that, feel free to DM me. But yeah, I just thought I thought that was a good write-in, something I wanted to share, just because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are incredibly frustrated and curious and confused and lost about how this process works. Because if there's anything I've learned the past year, it's that I have been extremely frustrated and confused and lost trying to do research, get sincere advice. I mean, dude, it's like, feel free to reach out to me, DM me if you want any more information on that. I'm happy to talk to you and help you out, but it's a fucking roller coaster, dude. Like we were actually like halfway to starting building on a new home with a different developer, with a KB Homes, a different home builder here in Florida. And then we had to back out with them last minute. Thankfully, we were able to get our money back and cancel that deal because they were just so fucking awful and sketchy to work with. And their lender, their mortgage company we had to work with was the absolute worst. And thankfully, the company we went on to work with is awesome. So far, it's been a really great experience. But that first company was god awful trash. And the reason I bring that up is just to say there were so many things that happened during that portion of our experience where it's like we didn't know what we were doing. We got a realtor to try and, you know, help buy ourselves the assurance and the professionalism to help guide us through, navigate the waters as much as possible. And even then, it's just, there's just so many questions, so many things where it's just like everyone is out to just get your fucking money and fuck you over. Like they will lie to you left, right, up and down, center all day long to try and get you to buy one of these houses. They'll lie to you. They'll just like way over approve you for way more house than you can actually afford. And you got to be financially smart about this stuff. You got to hold yourself accountable, do some serious, honest work, look at your finances, figure out what can I really afford for a house? What do I actually need versus what I want? And try to be as modest as possible with taking on a mortgage, because these motherfuckers will try to be like, oh yeah, you could totally afford a $480,000 home. It's like, no, I fucking can't. Don't you dare try to get me into this house. I swear to God, dude. It's like we were trying so hard. We're like, because you cannot buy a decent house these days for less than like $300 and $1 billion. I don't know. We were like really trying. We're like, we really don't want to spend more than like $350,000 on a house, which makes me want to throw up even thinking about it, because my dream for the longest time was to buy a house for under $250,000. And I mean, like some of these fucking mortgage companies and these builders, they'll try to get you approved and oversell you for whatever. They'll be like, oh, based on your credit score. Oh, based on this and that. And we did a search on you, and you submit all these documents. Oh, you can totally afford a house that's $400,000. Like, don't bite. Whatever someone tells you you're approved for or you can afford, try to go like 20% less at least. Buy yourself that cushion, man. You need room. You need room in your finances to save money for a rainy day and to be able to afford an AC repair or something happens on your home. You need money in case your car breaks down. You need money in case you break your leg and you got to go to the hospital or something. Like, don't let these fucking goons talk you into financial peril and being house poor. It's just, anyway. I've gone on and on. I appreciate the write-in, and like I said, if you have any further questions, feel free to DM me, but I just thought it might be helpful. If anyone's out there listening, trying to maybe hopefully one day aspire to become a homeowner, something that used to be so fucking easy, you could fucking trip and fall into home ownership in this country 50 years ago, and nowadays you got to be like a fucking real estate tycoon to even own a trailer home at this point. feel free to reach out to me. Let me know. Just want to be able to offer some kind of assistance, assurance, help to anyone I can, because God, I wish I had more of that 10 months ago when I was in that situation. So that's going to do it for our podcast this week. Xbox On, the official financial podcast / Disney vacation planning podcast / Halo cuck sucking podcast. Number one on the internet, really. And I appreciate you guys all for listening. So I hope you all had a great time. A little bit of a weird one, slow news period. But next week, get to talk about Alan Wake 2. I'm super excited. That and Modern Warfare 3. Those are the only 2 games I have this year that I could get to purchase. I'll figure out Sonic later on in January or February, but for now, we got to get through the rest of the year with Alan Wake and Call of Duty, and I'm very, very, very excited for Alan Wake this weekend, so we'll talk about that next week. Until then, please be kind, look both ways before crossing the street, and if you're going to shake someone's hand, make sure it's not the hand that you just picked your nose with, because it's disgusting, and that is how polio spreads, probably. So until next week, have a great week, eat delicious food, be good to yourself, be good to others, and power your dreams.
All that I'm holding is myself tonight. All that I'm holding is myself tonight.